And we welcome you in for the series finale between Lake Erie and Evansville. The Otters winning the first two games in pretty impressive fashion. Good evening, folks. I'm Matthew Will, joined by the 500 manager himself, Bill McEwen. Had a couple of good minutes of conversation here in the last 30, 40 minutes. The one question I haven't asked you yet today, got to be impressed with what happened last night and the night before with that regard. What stood out in these last two games against Lake Erie?
Well, I'll tell you what, Matthew, I know I don't want to take credit, but I'm going to give you credit. You know, it seems like when you and I work the home games here, those Otter players go crazy with home runs. You know, as I said to my son-in-law as he was bringing me to the game tonight, I says, you know, I hope the Otters get about 15 runs, but can they hold it? I said, Matthew and I give them the runs, but it's up to the pitchers to hold it. So, it's been really a good series. The Otters have scored, but we've had overall baseball, good baseball.
Well, it was the third straight game the Otters recorded a home run in last night. That's the first time this season they've had home runs in 3 straight games. But the game didn't quite start in the favor of the Otters. It was actually Lake Erie who scored the opening runs, 2 of them in the top half of the first inning. Evansville was able to strike for one of their own in the bottom half of the second as Dakota Phillips hit a leadoff home run in that second inning. Good to see him get back on the hitting side of things, extended his hitting streak out to 10 games now. And then in the bottom of the third inning, it was all Evansville. 8 runs. They batted all the way around, plus a couple. Just about everyone contributed to the offense. Even the one out through the first 9 batters was a sacrifice fly. So everything was working towards the end goal for him. Lake Erie ends up scoring 5 over the next 2 innings, but Evansville puts 1 more in the back pocket in the 5th to lead 10-7. They add 6 more runs in the last 2 innings and cruise on to a 16-7 win. The win actually went to Jacob Bowles in relief, and that's just because Brett Adcock didn't go long enough in the game to earn the result. Adcock had to, first of all, struggle with a strike zone that was kind of in and out, moving around. Also, he really just struggled having a consistent fastball. His off speed was all over the place because he could throw him anywhere, but I think we only saw his fastball get to 86, and that was tough.
I was going to say, you made observation about that early in the first or second inning, that he's generally in the 83 to 85 mile an hour velocity. And I noticed it, and I'm telling you, you don't have to throw 90 miles an hour to win. But if you're throwing 83 or 85, you better throw to locations, and they better be strikes. He was a little wild. He just, he for some reason, I'm going to say he was very nervous. Maybe because this is his first start at home or something. Plus, maybe he got a little too much enjoyment having a big lead. I think it was, wasn't it 6-1 or something like that at one time?
Yeah, it ended up being actually 9-2. I think it was.
Yeah,
at one
when
point.
he left, and I know we made a comment and said if the game was to end the way it is, 9-2, he's not going to get the win because again he didn't go 5, and so I think Max did the right thing in taking him out and so on. But, you know, going back to an earlier thing you said, Matthew, and that is no individual wins any contest unless you're playing tennis or something, an individual sport. But when you're playing a team sport, it's a team win, it's a team effort, and unless the team contributes, you're not going to win.
And that was the difference last night, is where the pitcher struggled, the bats helped him out. Exactly. That's not what happened in Canada. In Canada, the pitching was solid and the bats were nowhere to be found. It was nice last night to see the game, the different parts of the game complement each other. 1 home run for the Otters. Everything else was base hit here, base hit there, back-to-back triples.
Well, you just stole my thunder there. I was just going to say, don't forget those bases loaded triples.
First time I've ever seen back-to-back triples.
Right.
But it was really nice to see the Otters have a complete effort. I mean, maybe the starting pitching wasn't part of a complete effort, but the relief pitching came in and did their job, has helped them out. Everyone on this team worked together towards that win.
Well, one of the things I liked about yesterday's win is the shortstop we have, Armstrong. He has got a strong arm. He executes that double play proficiently. Get the ball to him, and he's as smooth as an ice cream cone in releasing the ball, and with the velocity of his throws. Uh, I tell you what, he's a player to look forward to.
And if anything, it now has made the defensive alignment for Andy McCauley that much more dangerous. When he has multiple guys that can play multiple positions,
Yeah.
you can mix it up a couple different ways, and you're still going to get really efficient defense effort.
Yes, and I agree with you, but yet, as a former player, now I'm speaking as a former player. Well, I could say it as a coach manager as well. But if you arrive at the ballpark at 6 o'clock, you don't wait until 6:30 to see the manager post the lineup in the dugout, and everyone rushes over. Am I playing? Am I playing? You've got to come to that ballpark and know I'm the second baseman, whether I strike out 5 times or not. I'm going to play tonight. And what I'm saying is confidence. You arrive at the ballpark with confidence, not worried, am I in the lineup or am I not?
Well, because it can get disheartening to have a struggling night and then come back the next night and see, oh, I'm not playing tonight.
Right.
Like
What did I do wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll take a brief look at what the standings look like now here in the Frontier League. A little bit of movement going on. Schaumburg retains their lead in the West, tied a game behind are Washington and Windy City. Then it's Evansville and Gateway at 2 games back. This Lake Erie team will see tonight a 3rd game back. Joliet 3.5 games back. Florence bringing in the rear 5.5 back in that West Division. On the East, Quebec has not lost a game since their loss to Evansville over a week and a half ago.
That'd be 10-game winning streak.
They just hit 10 last night. 14-3 over there in the East. They've got a 3-game lead on Ottawa. And then it just keeps going from there all the way out to 7.5 game lead on New York. 14 games over Empire State, who is still searching for win number 1. Empire State had a couple of shakeups this week. A lot of exodus of guys, some new faces brought in. They're currently dealing with the tough Canadian road trip right now. So,
yeah, I'm looking right now. Empire State is yet to win a game in the Frontier League. And if I was on that Empire State team right now, I'm going to say, hey, Mom, if they release me, I don't care because this team is terrible. And you're hoping, it's like an outfielder playing the outfield, and every pitch he's ready to catch the fly ball, and it's ball 3, ball 4, ball 1, ball 4. Before you know it, you don't care if he walks or gets a hit. You lost your enthusiasm.
Well, we are just a couple of moments away from first pitch. Got to take a break for the national anthem of our great country. And then after that, we have got first pitch between the Lake Erie Crushers and the Evansville Otters here from historic Bosse Field. We are pleased you're joining us for Otters baseball here on your home for the Otters, at home and away, the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. National anthem is sang, and we are ready for first pitch here inside the historic Bosse Field. I want to remind you that Frontier League Baseball here on Flow Sports is presented by Working Distributors Evansville. And with that, let us take a look at the starting man on the mound for the Evansville Otters. It's none other than the reigning Frontier League strikeout champion, number 50, but wearing number 35 tonight, Tim Holdgrafer. And, for Tim Holdgrafer, it has been a lot of fun to watch him wheel and deal on the mound this year. Though he only has a 1-0 record, his 0.95 ERA is the best in the entire Frontier League. He's gone 19 innings, 24 strikeouts, just 2 walks. 3 starts, 2 walks. Got to be pleased with that up there on the mound. An opposing batting average of 162. Man, he has been fun to watch on the mound this year, and he is looking like he's putting together another really solid, consistent season.
Well, if I was he, Matthew, I would be proud myself. I mean, the number of walks versus the strikeouts, wow.
Well, and I had a good talk with him at the beginning of the year, asking him, do you have any sort of pressure on your shoulder after being the guy last year that led the league in strikeouts? Is there added pressure to perform better? He said, every day I'm just out here to compete the best I can, and somehow Tim Holdgrafer has also been the pitcher for the 2 biggest crowds we've seen all year. A huge crowd on hand today for YMCA night. With that, let's take a look through the starting lineup for the Lake Erie Crushers. Once again, one of the most diverse lineups we've seen all year. 4 left-handed hitters, 2 switch hitters, just 3 righties. They really mix everything in well and make it so that every guy you see is a different look, and you really have to focus as a pitcher to work around him.
Well, I'm happy to see their Escobar is back catching. I like him. I think he's a pretty good catcher. He's got a good arm.
Big cannon with that arm.
Yes.
Well, with that, we are ready to get things started here. Just about on time between Lake Erie and Evansville. Keenan Irizarry steps in for the first at-bat of the game. Tim Holdgrafer kicks and delivers on the first pitch. Outside ball 1 to get us started.
91 miles an hour.
Well, our public address announcer here, Zane Clodfelder, just announced 79 degrees. It couldn't have turned out much better after a long night of rain last night.
Oh, yeah.
Ball sent way high and foul to the left side. Felix will let it go.
You mentioned earlier the good crowd. As I was coming in, my son-in-law was driving me here. As we were coming up, I said, my God, look at the parking lot. It's filled. And then as I worked my way to the gate, I had to fight off a crowd. They were blocking the walkway. I had to hit three kids over the head with my cane.
1-1 the count here for Keenan Irizarry, who in yesterday's game only had 1 hit. 3 walks, however, is how he started his game. Yeah, it's actually YMCA day here, so I would say probably about 3 o'clock, maybe 3:30. They blew up a couple inflatables out there, and they've been kids out here since 3:30.
I noticed as I was walking, there's a
good pitch there.
As I was walking in, I said, oh, my God, they got this out there in the grass. And, boy, the kids were just lined up wanting to go. And I noticed they all had headgear, though. So there's something about it that they had to have headgear.
Well, on the bright side for the Otters, most of those families and kids have made their way into the ballpark now, and it's a swinging strike 3 for Tim Holdgrafer. He picks up his first German-American bank strikeout of the game in the first at-bat. And actually, one of your first games here this year was a Tim Holdgrafer start in which he set a new career high for strikeouts with 13.
I was going to say 13, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I hate to let those people out there know that I'm talking falsely.
Quick look at the Otters' defensive alignment. Baez, Gordon, and McNamee out in the outfield. Pretty similar as usual. Little difference to the infield. J.R. Davis back to third. Khalil back to short. Madison, Sinsley round out the infield. Felix is behind the plate.
And just for edification purposes, they're all wearing a certain type of new jersey.
Yeah, they're themed jerseys. Quite like the hat that you got at the front gate with the YMCA. It's a special old YMCA logo, helping to celebrate the 165th birthday of the YMCA.
Oh.
So they'll be auctioned off after the game, it sounds like.
Yeah, they do. They do that quite often. Different special shirts. They do auction them off after.
Then the Grapes of Lake Erie in their purple jerseys, all chopped to the left side. Davis charging in on 2 hops, throw to first in time.
What a play!
And that's one of those that is such a simple play, but they make it, or it's a difficult play that they make look so simple. I mean, J.R. Davis did not make that look like a tough play at all.
Yeah. You know, in 1967, the Evansville White Sox were here, and they had a third baseman. I don't remember his name now. If I did hear it, I recall it, but went on to play in the major leagues. That was the best third baseman in all of my baseball career that I've ever seen that could charge from a position on a bunt or a slow roller and nab you. I mean, he had that down to perfection. And that is not an easy thing to do.
Coco Figueredo steps in now. An interesting little piece about Figueredo is, well, he has played in all 17 games thus far for Lake Erie. He's reached base safely in every game, all 17.
Wow.
He had a home run in yesterday's game. Solo shot to put the Crushers up 2. Ooh, close pitch there. Must have stayed a bit high. 2-0 now the count.
Yeah.
And here we are. We've gotten ourselves a bit distracted in the top half of the first, and Tim Holgrafer already making really easy work out there.
Well, he's throwing 91, and okay, so that's ball 3, but he has been around the plate.
I was going to say, other than that pitch, they've been challenging balls.
Right.
And if you're a little confused, Holgrafer is wearing 35 tonight. Usually he wears 50, but because of the special jerseys, a little different for him. That one right down the middle.
Well, my years as a coach and as a manager here was 39. When I was an Evansville Brave, I was 39. So 39 is always associated with me.
Behind the plate is Brad Wilson. The umpire's out in the field. Mike O'Leary to the right side. Nicholas Saxon on the left.
Oh, my
man.
Goodness. I don't know if you noticed that, but that was a breaking pitch.
Well, and it was one that looked like you almost hit pause on the way home. It just really took its time.
Right, but it was on a 3-1 count. He's got guts in his pitch. So we're not going to see fastballs on a 3-1 count.
With the 3-2, he does bring it a little quicker. 91. Yeah. That one sent foul to the left side, out of play.
Yeah, that's a good indicator, Matthew, is when you need a strike on a 3-1 count. And wherever the pitcher throws, that's going to be his best pitch, the one he has control on.
Well, and obviously to have, I think it was 134 strikeouts like he had last year in a single season, you have to be able to control your breaking pitch as well. That's what Holgrafer does. A 2-hopper out towards second. Pretty easy play there for Mattis at second. It's 3 up, 3 down in the top half of the first inning. Off to a nice start here. A beautiful night here in Otterville. We'll be back with the bottom half of the first inning. Mattis, Davis, and Baez due up for the Otters. And welcome back inside historic Bosse Field for the bottom half of the first inning. Good look for the Otters to get things started with 3 quick outs. Let's introduce you to the man on the mound for the Lake Erie Crushers, It is Brock Baig. And Baig is 0-0 in the year, an 8.75 ERA. This is where it really gets difficult. A 4.27 batting average against. Guys have hit really good on
Wow.
Baig this year. He's given up 15 runs on 24 hits in just 12 innings of work. Where he does succeed, 14 strikeouts and just 4 walks, but he has given up a lot of hits and a lot of runs.
Well, you see, 4 walks. I'm going to say right now, before you even told me that, I'm going to say he throws strikes. Because when you give up that many hits, you better be throwing the ball over the plate, and that's what probably he's doing, and that's why they're exploding.
Yeah, he averages 2 hits a game,
Right.
2 hits for every inning he's thrown. That is a tough place to be in here in the early parts of the season.
Well, he didn't exhibit a good curveball. It didn't have a good bite, but that's warm-ups. You know, we here in the press box, in between as the pitchers are warming up, you got to concentrate on what they're throwing and whether it's effective or not.
No Bierman tonight, so it's 3 righties to start off the lineup, but Phillips, Sinsley, and Gordon will bring the left-handed bats into play. We start off with the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Gary Mattis, who takes a pitch inside, but just catching the zone for a called strike 1.
At 85 miles an hour. And again, a strike.
Mattis had 4 hits in yesterday's game.
Yep.
2 singles, a double, and a multi-run home run. He has really started to get incredibly consistent for this Otters team here in the early goings.
Well, as I said earlier, Armstrong at short, Mattis at second is a good combination. They work well.
Well, and Mattis has now reached base, and prior to tonight, 7 straight games safely. He's found his way on in a lot of different ways. He hit the first grand slam for the team.
Well, getting back to my defense, you know, when you have a shortstop and second baseman, they have to work together. They've got to know each other's moves, when to expect, where to expect, and so on. So when you find a combination like Armstrong and Mattis, that's what you should have out in the field all the time. They got good range. They got good hands, soft hands, and they execute well. And getting a double play is one of the keys to getting you out of an inning.
Yeah, we saw a season-high 3 double plays turned last night. And that was one of the big hurts for the Otters in Canada, as it was Khalil at short, who was really good, but then it was Julius Purrier at second, who really struggled the whole week, and it made it tough for the Otters to have any success out there with the defense. I think they had probably 3 chances to turn double plays, and I think they only ended up turning 1 of them.
Well, that was a new player. What happened?
Yeah, Julius Purrier there at second. He joined the team just for the Canadian trip, was released as soon as the team got back, hopped on with the Empire State Grays.
I was going to wonder. I haven't seen him, and
3-2, and
that might be out of here.
Sends one towards left field, chasing is Jones at the warning track and hauls it in.
All right, we know he got a low wood on that one.
Well, had we had that wind out towards left we've had all week, it probably would have helped, but there is not an ounce of wind tonight.
Yeah, that flag is just hanging. You're right. But he certainly put some lumber to that pitch.
Quick look at the defensive alignment for the Crushers. Jones, Ming, and Owings around the outfield. Figueredo, Irizarry, Flete, and Perez around the infield. Escobar back behind the plate. And that brings up J.R. Davis, who's batting in the 2-hole tonight.
You know, we talk about defense. Let's go to that last play on that fly ball. Did you notice the left fielder, as soon as it was hit, he broke for the fence. He didn't glide. He broke. He knew from the minute that left the bat that was going to be deep. How far, he didn't know, but he was getting himself in a position.
Put himself in a place he could make a play.
Exactly. So those of us up here were saying, well, we know it's well hit then. Because when you see the outfielder running backwards hard, it's
then
over
you saw
his
his head go up. So that's what made it really seem like it was gone.
Right.
2-1 the count to J.R. Davis, batting in the 2-hole for the first time this season. Most of his starts have been there in either the 3 or 4 holes. A 2-1. This one's sent accidentally to the left side. And trouble for the third baseman is an infield single for J.R. Davis.
You know, even if he had fielded that cleanly, that was a base hit.
It was a slow roller. Because it didn't have much on it, it would have been really hard to even try for a play. I mentioned that's J.R. Davis's first time hitting in the 2-hole. I'm going to argue that with Baez staying as the third guy, I think Baez is a really solid option as the third hitter. I think Dakota Phillips, rightfully so, has stolen that cleanup hitter spot in that 4-hole now.
Well, that's a good observation. Again, that's what you're getting the big money for.
But you want that fourth spot hitter to be a guy who, if you get a guy on in the first inning, has a chance for an RBI, and Dakota Phillips seems to be that guy.
Right. Well, in traditional baseball, your best hitter is your third hitter. Your fourth hitter is a good hitter with power and an RBI man. So you just described.
Sounds like Dakota Phillips.
I'm just going to say it. You described Phillips, right?
Well, we saw for a second there, Baig stepped off. Now he's ready for the first pitch to Jeffrey Baez. Outside ball one. I'll just go ahead and say it. Baig is right now too worried about J.R. Davis at first.
Right, and if I was the pitcher and had a catcher that had his arm like this guy, I wouldn't be worried at all. Even though he's got a big lead over there, that catcher's got a rifle, Kentucky rifle arm.
The 1-0. Oh, man, off speed got away from him. If he can bring that close to the zone, that's a pretty pitch.
Yes.
Now, not J.R. Davis, because he hasn't had a ton of base running opportunities this year, but Gary Mattis with with the 3 stolen bases a couple nights ago has moved into second place in the league in stolen bases. It feels strange to be talking about the Otters as a stolen base team, but they're starting to become one.
Well, that's good. I mean, normally we were not in the past.
2-0 for Baez. Lifts this one out of play and foul.
We weren't a very aggressive teams in the past, except that when a runner was on second, a lot of guys went to third, and a lot of guys got thrown out at third as well.
But now you've got a perfect storm in this starting 9. You've got a good mix of power and speed. That's got to be every manager's dream.
Yeah. He's going on this one, I bet. No? Well, maybe.
Check over there at first.
It looked like he was getting that extra step. Talking to the first base coach, did I get the signal right?
2-1, still the count for Jeffrey Baez. Right. Would not be surprised to see J.R. Davis on the move. A 2-1. Baez lifts this one up. It's heading towards the right side and foul. Perez thinks he's underneath it, and he pulls it in for the second out here in the first inning. So now the designated hitter, Dakota Phillips, will make his way up to the plate. His first at-bat yesterday was a solo home run. He then backed it up with 2 walks and a single. It ended up being a pretty solid day for him.
4 for 4. I wonder how Mom's doing back there in Texas. Big T. Suppose big conference tonight about that shooting down there. So
first offering for Dakota Phillips. We'll see if Baig ends up throwing it home or if he still is worried over there about Davis, who's got a really big lead. Phillips gets a pitch way up high. And with the way Escobar stood up right out of his stance, I think that was a planned pitch out just in case Davis was on the move.
Right. That is something I don't believe I've seen in all the years here is a pitch out. You're right. In fact, you using that terminology is that's unusual.
Phillips lets the 1-0 go by, and that one stayed a little too inside for his liking.
And I thought it was too low, too. But He's getting the big money to call them. We're getting the free hot dogs. Now would be a good time to go.
And there he goes. They're going to get him caught in between. Play at second in plenty of time. Davis caught trying to steal second. So Phillips is going to get another opportunity when we come back up in the back half of the second inning. Coming at you next is the top half of the second inning where Mang, Owens, and Escobar are due up for the Crushers.
Because when you're on first.
Top half of the second inning coming at you next here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. If you have a group of friends or coworkers who wish to come to historic Bosse Field and enjoy an Otters home game, contact the Otters front office to reserve a party deck on the Corona Extra Patio deck. As you can see, got a whole bunch of YMCA folks out there tonight. The Corona Extra Patio deck is one of the best places to watch a game with an all-you-can-eat menu and unlimited bottled water and soft drinks. Give a call to 812-435-8686 for more information. Now you can book your next celebration right here at historic Bosse Field. Ready for the first batter here of the top half of the second. It's going to be the center fielder, Jared Mang.
I've never seen a professional Otter game from that patio, but I did see a high school game, and I'll tell you what, that is a good seating in that patio.
Well, and if you're a person who goes to lots of games and sits in this general area behind home plate on the sides of the backstop area, it's a totally new experience to sit in the outfield.
Yeah.
Because all the action's coming towards you.
Exactly. So if you're going to come out to the ballpark, I'd recommend the Corona patio situation.
Yeah, just about any size party will do. Just give a call to the front office. They can hook you up.
Yes, he did.
He certainly did.
Yes, he did.
It is a swinging strike three. Only took 3 pitches for Tim Holgrafer to pick up his second German American Bank strikeout of the game. So now the right fielder, Connor Owings, makes the walk up.
I'm going to say the grandfather of the Frontier League. I swear he's 38 years old.
Well, Owings proved that age was wealth as a 2-run home run in the 5th.
Right.
Was one of 3 home runs for the Crushers yesterday. He went 2 for 4 in the end.
Yep. And his home run was out of here quickly.
Big time. First option for him. Just catches the low part of the zone for a called strike 1.
Yeah, I bet he has played AAA or AA in the past. I just got the feeling he's too old to be a rookie.
Chopping ball towards Sinsley. It's off the heel of his glove. Mattis will get to it. A throw over to first. And, man, he nearly made a play.
Base hit. Error. It's an error on the first base.
Yeah, another error on Steven Sinsley. It's a tough play for him. You love to see Gary Mattis back up the play and still try to make a play happen.
Right.
But it'll be a 1-out getting on situation on the air. Now with 1 out and 1 on, Hermindo Escobar steps in. Escobar is one of the more
potential threats.
Potential hit threats and one of the more charismatic individuals in the box. He was just kind of all over the place the other night. On a pitch inside, he went darting out of the box, and then he was leaning way over a couple times, and just kind of every pitch was an adventure with him.
Well, if you recall, too, wow, did you see that? I thought it was a band, one of those in the bands when you had a baton or something. But anyway, what I was going to say is, do you recall the first night he showed he was going to bunt twice, bringing in our third baseman, and then he ricocheted 3 or 2 shots down at third.
Just foul, too. They were really close. Right. A 1-1 for Escobar. He wants to pull it that left way.
Right. He's got a quick bat. You know, every time I think of Escobar, I think of Zanzibar. You know, what's that movie character? Zanzibar, whatever, the pirate. I'm thinking of a pirate.
A 1-2. J.R. Davis really holding tight to that third baseline. Here comes the 1-2.
Strike.
And catches him looking at a pitch up high. It's the third German American Bank strikeout of the game for Tim Holdgrafer.
You know what's so interesting, Matthew, is Escobar there. Strike 3 called. No argument, just walks away. He knew that was a strike.
And he knew that was his pitch. Up high in the zone.
Right.
Big power hitter.
He just was looking for something else.
Brian's Flotte in the box now. Ball sent foul, but way up high to the left side, and J.R. Davis will haul it in for out number 3. A runner gets on due to an error, but nothing comes from it. An inning and a half later, we are still scoreless here from Evansville. Welcome back inside the Otters Digital Network and Otters Baseball on Flow Sports. Another look at the standings if you missed it during pregame. Schaumburg leading the way in the West. Washington and Windy City right behind. Evansville and Gateway. Wouldn't have believed that those two would be even at this point, but there they are, tied for 4th. On the East, all Quebec, and Ottawa is not too far behind. This is the first year Ottawa has been a franchise. The other teams in the Canadian parts were teams in the Can-Am and then moved to the Frontier League. This is the first year Ottawa's been a franchise, and they're already having a lot of success early in this season. Good to see for them, and it's good for the Frontier League.
What I was trying to think of many moons ago was Northern Lights. Did you ever see the Northern Lights up there?
Nope, we weren't quite in a place to do that.
Okay.
Well, for the second time today, but first time officially, Dakota Phillips back into the box. He was looking at a 1-1 count when J.R. Davis was picked off between first and second, so he's going to get a second try.
All right, he got that pitch exactly where the catcher called for it, low and outside. You know, all a batter's got to do sometimes is turn around and look and see where the catcher is, and the catcher's telling them exactly. See, there he goes, moving outside again.
That one was raised just enough that it caught some zone. You raise that any more, and Dakota Phillips is going to usually make you pay on an off speed that gets hung there.
He's working inside.
1-1, and he sends it to the right side, past the second baseman for a base hit. And just like that, Dakota Phillips' base hit streak hits 11 games.
I bet Mom is looking up and saying, "Thank you, Lord. Thank you." You know, not to belabor the point, but it is so important to a ball player to know that their parents support them. You know, it's like anything. If you're on the stage or you're a tennis player, to have your parents support you is a big, big thing.
When we see all types of support for some of these Otters, I mean, we know you're out there, Mississippi State fam, who are tuning into these games just for Elijah McNamee.
Right.
All of these players know the support they get, and it is incredible to see how well at home, on the road, there are a lot of people who love these guys in this team.
Oh, yes. I tell you, we used to have a booster club here in Evansville, and they were so supportive of the Otters. I mean, they entertain the players constantly. And, you know, they don't get paid that much. So if the booster club was to give them a free dinner, I mean, that comes a long way.
Well, speaking of him, big hit Max stepping in now, looking at a 1-1 count. Started off with the ball up high and then a called strike one on the inside half the plate. Lets a 1-1 go by, and that one just catches the low inside corner. That's a good pitch against him.
Well, I have observed so far, we're only in the second inning, this umpire calls that low pitch strikes. So if I was a batter and paying attention, and if I had 2 strikes on, I'd better be swinging at it.
A 1-2 on McNamee. Really extends the hand, pushes it to the right side. They won't get 2. They won't get 1. Misplayed by the second baseman. And the first 2 will get on here in the bottom half of the second.
I don't know if you saw what I saw, and that is that second baseman, it was a slow ground ball, plenty of time to field it. He took his eyes up to look at where the runner was, and with that, lost contact.
As soon as the ball got there, his eyes were at second.
Yeah, right. Good observation, man. Good observation.
So 2 runners on to start off the inning, brings up the first baseman, Steven Sinsley. And I want to bounce back to your point in that last at-bat about if that low ball is going to get called a strike. If I'm Tim Holgrafer, I'm licking my chops. If I'm Justin Felix, I'm calling that one a couple times an inning because that just makes the game of Tim Holgrafer that much more dangerous.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, the lower the pitch, the better chance for a ground ball because that's why a sinker is one of the most effective pitches for a double play.
Well, and Sinsley starts off his count with a called strike on that low outside corner. Sinsley 2 nights ago had a 3-hit game, had 2 solo home runs to left. I think they might have landed in the exact same place.
I would agree with you. And then hit a line drive between short or over short.
Out there on second is Dakota Phillips. On first, Elijah McNamee. No outs in the bottom half of the second inning. Man, Sinsley loaded up on that swing, but he was just a tad behind it.
Mr. Felix is eating his chops down there, practicing his swing, and just looking for the opportunity to come to bat with runners on.
The 0-2 for Steven Sinsley. Way outside. He's disciplined enough to let it go by.
One ball, 2 strikes, no outs, runners on first and second. Shortstop playing more or less in back of second. Big gap at short.
That's where Sinsley's like to hit him. A 1-2. Sinsley is caught swinging for strike 3, and he'll be the first out of the inning. So now with that, the Otters will welcome the catcher Justin Felix to the plate.
I would say the leader in home runs. Am I correct in that?
He's
4 home runs.
The leader on the team, and he's tied for 9th in the league.
Well, Mr. Felix, I hope you can unload. I'll take an easy fly ball over that heads sign out there in left field. That'd be about 340, I'd say.
Just about. First pitch for Justin Felix on the way now. Lays that one off. Nods his head and said, okay, I've seen it now. Now I know what I'm dealing with.
And again, a low pitch. And umpire has been calling the low pitches. At least to us out here, it looks low.
Could look a whole lot different at the plate.
Yes.
Long wait before the 0-1 to Felix. Pitch on the way now. That one up and in.
Wait a minute. Now, isn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, don't we have 6 hit players from this team already?
Yes.
Now, I know it's not deliberate, but boy, there's an awful lot that came close to their helmets.
You certainly see so many. 1-1 the count to Justin Felix. Oh, hefty swing there. He was way out in front of it. 72 mile an hour.
Yeah, that big grapefruit was coming in. And
well, don't mean to alarm anyone, but we'll take a very brief look at the Fox Sports WIFX Frontier League scoreboard. The Empire State Grays have a 1-0 lead on the best team in the league, the Quebec Capitals, in the top of the 4th inning.
Game's not over until 9th inning.
Certainly not. A 1-2 for Justin Felix. This one's chopped foul to the left side. It's actually some sort of a pattern we've seen this year. Empire State's taken a lot of leads in games this year. Then they get towards the very end of the game, and that's when they give up 5, 6, 7 runs, and the game's over.
Well, that's telling you that the relief pitchers aren't doing what they're paid to do. Reliever comes in, he throws strikes, not balls for walks.
One out, 2 on, 1-2 count for Justin Felix.
High.
Takes a pitch way up high, count even to 2-2.
Yep.
If he can find a way on or be the only out, Miles Gordon would be due up next for the Otters.
Well, that center fielder's playing maybe 5 foot to right field. Leaves a little gap in left center, but not that much, but all depending upon the speed of the center fielder.
Those alleyways are huge.
Yeah.
2-2 to Justin Felix. Able to stay disciplined on a pitch outside.
Well, you're going to have the chance to view it, but I'm going to say this is probably the biggest ballpark in the Frontier League.
And if it's not the biggest, it's second biggest.
Right.
To Ottawa, that had a center field that went 430. Other than that, it is hard to find a place that plays as deep as this ballpark.
Yeah.
There's just so much ground to cover out there in the outfield. 3-2 for Felix. Just missing on the high outside corner was Brock Baig, and it's a Deerhead sidewalk bar and cafe that loads the bases with just 1 out.
This ballpark was always known as a pitcher's ballpark because of the size and the fences being so far back. However, we've seen a lot of home runs go out of this ballpark, although it's the portable fence, not the concrete WPA wall fence. Now Mr. Gordon's coming in.
Miles Gordon has had quite the struggle of a year, but last night was big for him. 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs scored. First pitch he sees, puts out towards that alleyway and right. It'll drop for a base hit. 1 run is going to score. McNamee coming right behind a play at third.
And he's
in
out.
Time. advancing to third and out is Justin Felix, but 2 runs will score on the RBI single from Miles Gordon. And not only is that a good way to start offensively, getting the first runs of the game, but you are also involving the crowd here and getting them on your side early in this game.
Right. And you could see Miles Gordon's base hit. It was just a blooper. You knew it was a Texas slinger. And the only thing is, if you're on base, you can't assume that's not going to be caught. So otherwise, Felix might have been safe at third.
First pitch for George Khalil. Takes one on the high side of the zone for a called strike 1.
Yeah, it's nice that the Otters got the lead. However, holding it is another thing. But when you got one of the best pitchers in the league on the mound, it's a good bet to go to Vegas. And
yeah, it makes it easy for. I mean, Tim Holgrafer is already a rock solid pitcher in a close game, but to give him a couple of runs in his back pocket makes him that much more dangerous.
Right.
Would not be surprised if they might be saying his name at the All-Star game this year.
Well, I hope he does. I hope he's. I know if he's leading the league in strikeouts, maybe not with wins, but strikeouts, he better be in that starting lineup. Well, not the starting lineup. Even if he's not the starting pitcher in the All-Star game, maybe the second or third pitcher.
Well, he is currently 8th in the league in strikeouts, but the 7 guys above him have played an extra game than he has.
Oh, okay.
0-2 for Khalil. Snaps the bat. The bat might go further than the ball. Going to be a tough play for the third baseman. Not in time.
Safe.
An infield single for George Khalil. There went some more lumber, by the way. Go get your new lumber at Niehaus Lumber.
George got a base hit simply because the third baseman double pumped, didn't have control of the ball when he picked it up, had a double pump, which allowed George the extra step to be safe.
Well, I think he might have had the ball in his hand, but the pitcher didn't get himself out of the way. So had he thrown the first time, he would have beamed his pitcher.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. I didn't see that.
So here in the second inning, already back to the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Gary Mattis. He flew out to left his first time, missed a home run by that much. Runners on first and second. Otters already lead by 2.
It's a pretty good off-speed curveball, and I thought that was a strike.
I thought for sure as well, and so did Brock Baig up on the mound. But now he's got to start a pitch behind.
Now that looked to me low ball, and it's a strike. So, from my observation, my opinion, what I've seen tonight is if it's low, you better be swinging because this guy's going to call strike.
Absolutely. 1-1 count to Gary Mattis. Runners on first and second with 2 outs here in the bottom half of the second. Here comes the 1-1. He half swings at it. Did he go? Yes, he did, they say.
Well.
So Mattis now has to get defensive in there. 1-2 the count.
I'm going to say that bat was still on his shoulders. Maybe the umpire on the bases called it a strike for one reason. His hips. He rotated his hips. And that is one of the secrets of batting, is getting those hips to rotate.
The 1-2 for Mattis. Hard swinging strike 3, and that will end the inning, but not before 2 runs score on the RBI single from Miles Gordon. Otters lead by 2 after 2. Here on your home for the Otters all season long, the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Top half of the third inning coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. He's Bill McEwen. I'm Matthew Will. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Otters Baseball. And, man, you can't ask for nights like this.
Oh, I know it's a beautiful night. I love playing in this atmosphere. You know, it's not too chilly and it's not too hot.
Well, it's nice that not only did the rain cool things down last night, the sun stayed away most of the day, so it couldn't get too humid, and it turned out to be a nice evening, and there are tons of people here, too.
I was just going to elaborate on that part. We've got a pretty good stadium filled with young YMCA enthusiasts. You know, I worked for the YMCA, for about 3 months. When I was in college, a phys ed major, you had to work something related to athletics. So for 3 months, I used to bring out the ping pong balls and paddles.
1-0 for Danny Perez. That one just stays a hair outside. Now it's a 2-0 count. Danny Perez batting in the 8-hole today. He was in the 9-hole last night, had a 3-run home run in the 4th inning. Can never count out those guys at the bottom of the order.
You know, last night was one of those nights, too, that we had a big lead, and then all of a sudden a home run, and the lead was not bad. And we'd get a few more runs, and then they hit a home run, and the gap kept getting closer and closer. And
this time he chops one towards Mattis. Mattis makes a pretty simple play, or makes a difficult play look simple, and it's 1 up, 1 down to start off.
So what do we have, a 16 or 17? 16-7 win, yeah. And every time a guy hit a home run, I'm saying, oh, no. There goes our 7-run lead to only 3. And so, yeah, they've hit a lot of home runs.
But the Otters showed there in the ending parts of that game that they're not going to take their foot off the gas, and that's what you have to do to win baseball games.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Alonzo Jones now in the 9-hole. Ooh, just about takes one on the shins. Able to get out of the way for ball 1. And the return of Alonzo Jones means that, once again, we're not going to end up seeing Jack Harris in this series. He was the one to worry about for this Lake Erie team. A rock-solid hitter, was on the IL. We thought maybe we'd see him yesterday or today. He stays on the IL, however. Hopefully we'll get to see him get back into proper game action. Might get to see him in a couple weeks when these two face off once again. They're in mid-June.
I know as a former coach, whether it was in high school or pro, I used to say I'd rather have a player be fully recovered rather than partially. Because if you're partially recovered, you're not going to give me 100%.
Well, and that's one of the blessings of a 96-game season. I mean, there is so many games out there. If you take the risk of maybe we'll struggle in these 2 with not having this guy rather than rushing him back, and maybe you have to miss a whole bunch of games without a guy.
Or maybe the whole season.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, you're right.
2-1 now to Jones. Holdgrafer attacks the high outside corner and gets a called strike 2. There have not been many pitches, maybe 2 I can think of from Holdgrafer thus far that were not challenging the strike zone at least.
No, you're right.
Him and Felix have good chemistry in that pitcher-catcher battery. 2-2. A little off-speed inside.
That looked good.
Those lefties love that one.
Yes. Well, you know, as a former catcher, it's good to have a relationship with the pitchers where they have confidence in what you call.
3-2 for Jones. Swinging strike 3, and it's the 4th German American Bank strikeout of the game for Tim Holdgrafer.
Well, we just saw something new. Felix is our catcher, and someone came out of the dugout and just gave him a new mitt. He just exchanged catching mitts. Now, I know when I used to start every season, I always had 3 catcher's mitts. A brand new one that you would start off in spring training, and that all you would do is use that to warm up pitchers because you were breaking it in. And you had last year's catcher's mitt that you you broke in maybe in July and August. That became this year's regular with the other one as a backup, but always 3 mitts.
1-0 for Keenan Irizarry. And I know that I've seen at least 2 different ones from him. So it doesn't surprise me we've seen another one here. Ronnie Allen Jr., the other catcher, is currently in the dugout and not out in the bullpen. He's serving as the bullpen catcher as well, but he's not currently out there, so it's possible he even borrowed Ronnie Allen Jr.'s if there was something he didn't like about his.
Oh, that's true.
You truly never know, I guess.
That's right.
Irizarry looking at a 1-1. This pitch way outside, one of the first we've seen really get lost out of the hand of Holdgrafer.
Well, I tell you what, you look at Felix's glove right now, it's got a big webbing like a first baseman's mitt. I hated that. And the reason I hated it was because the ball would get stuck in that. And a lot of times catchers reach in and they can't get the grip. But it's easy to make a tag. You know, you just put the glove down.
2-1 is chopped off the foot of Irizarry, and now a 2-2 count with 2 outs and no one on. Just one base runner thus far for Lake Erie. He got on via the air. Other than that, Holdgrafer has really controlled things well. I think the biggest thing that you see there is only 1 out is through the air, and it was a foul out. Everything else has been on the ground or strikeouts, really controlling the pace of things. 2-2 for Irizarry. Swinging strike
Another
3.
strikeout.
His second German American Bank strikeout of the inning and his 5th of the game. After 2.5 innings, it's Evansville 2, Lake Erie 0 as we head to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Due up for the Otters will be Davis, Baez, and Phillips. Ready for the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Otters leading this game 2-0, have a 4-0 lead in hits as well. An error on either side, but both were really hard hit balls, to be fair. So pretty evenly matched game thus far, except the Otters were able to link a couple of hits together, and that's the difference thus far. Ready for the bottom half of the 3rd. J.R. Davis, Jeffrey Baez, and Dakota Phillips will get things started here in the half inning. Davis started off with a single in the 1st, but he was caught between 1st and 2nd. If he gets on here, wouldn't be surprised to see him try to challenge this pitcher again now that he's kind of seen things a little bit.
Well, yeah, a left-hand pitcher is hard to diagnose until you get him thrown over to the first base several times. You got to see what his motion is. Now, if you notice, most left-hand pitchers, if they're taking their stretch and they kick their leg up, but they're looking at home, chances are it's going to first. If they're looking at first, chances are it's going to home. But that
Davis on the second pitch he sees,
double.
skies it out towards left center. They're looking and it goes over the wall.
Wow.
A solo home run. That one just kept carrying. The wind was going against it. J.R. Davis said, doesn't really matter. I can hit it over that wall anyway. and the lead is now at 3.
Now, I thought I said a double. I knew it was in the gap. But, well, I'll tell you what. Sitting up here with you for these homestands, I think you generate. Now, I'm not saying it's true, but I believe some of these guys have radios in their back pocket. And they're listening to you, and you're giving them the inspiration to hit the ball out.
Well, in that one, I thought for sure as well was going to be a double, but then that left fielder gave up and just looked up. And
I know, that surprised me. I said, that's a double, but, well, let's be happy it's out of here. So he's got 2 hits tonight.
Well, this man can do it too, Jeffrey Baez.
Oh, yeah.
He starts with a 1-1 count after watching the pitch just sail past the high end of the zone.
Baez probably got the most power of anyone on this team. But I noticed lately he's been very slow with his bat, and he's hitting off the back foot. And that's why he's hitting a lot of pop-ups.
And it makes you wonder what 7 days without a game did to his plate approaches.
Well, that's true.
Because you really have no idea how much time he got in the cages, how many reps he got in that time.
Well, still, when you're in the cages and you're getting batting practice, it's not the same. The pitcher is not warming up, throwing like he is on the mound. He's just lobbing the ball in, so it's a different situation altogether.
2-2 for Baez. Man, he made that swing look effortless, but he lifts it foul.
However, I'd hate to make a mistake with this guy. I'm going to say anything over the plate, not on the outside, but over the plate. I mean, he could kill a ball. After his home runs, you better check the webbing, see if it's been ripped.
A 2-2. That one works a bit inside, but not by too much.
That looked like strike 3 to me.
That low inside pitch we've seen called a couple times.
Exactly.
Well, that's now the 4th game in a row the Otters have hit a home run in. 3-2 for Baez. Sends it hard into left field for a base hit. The only swing of that at bat he timed well, he got a base hit from.
And it was a good even swing, not an uppercut swing, not a reaching swing.
When you've got that type of power, though, all you need is a solid follow through, and you're going to get something out of it.
Right, and let the ball be over the plate. Don't reach for it.
So now out comes Dakota Phillips.
The all-star player.
He had a single in the 2nd inning, came around to score on the Miles Gordon RBI double, or RBI single, sorry.
We've got to convince those other ball clubs to vote for him to be the all-star catcher.
I'll see what I can do when I'm on the road.
Yes,
get in their ears. Making the run towards second is Baez, and he's in there. Safe.
That was a good throw. However, I don't know if you saw what I saw. That was, he had a tremendous jump.
Well, and he's been having tremendous jumps for his entire career. That's stolen base 235 of Jeffrey Baez's career.
I would never believe it with the body build that he's got. But he did get a tremendous jump. I'm going to say he was 30 feet off first before the pitcher even released the ball.
He gets his head down and moves.
Yes. The same token, I hate to be a catcher blocking home plate when he comes in. I mean, he's liable to drive me back to a hop stop.
They might have to get the taxi to go get you.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
0-2 quickly for Dakota Phillips.
Come on, Dakota. It's a RBI. Ball 3.
Yeah, ball way outside.
2 strikes, 1 ball. One ball, 2 strikes. Somewhere I missed something.
Phillips.
He's a 2-strike hitter. I'll say that. He makes good contact with 2 strikes.
Baez headed for third now, and Phillips lifts it up in the shallow right center field area. I won't lie to you. I think Baez might have had third if that pitch wasn't made contact with.
I'll agree with you on that.
What a jump yet again.
Yeah, he was halfway home, to third. But again, Dakota had a swing, 2 strikes.
So now with 1 out and a runner on second, Elijah McNamee makes the walk up to the plate. McNamee reached on an error there in the second inning. He came around to score as well on that 2-run single from Gordon.
You know, did we ever find out about Baez out there in left field doing those sit-ups?
It sounds like it was a B.
It sounds like a B. Okay.
At least that's the story that I've heard enough that I'm going to believe.
So he hit the ground hoping that the B wouldn't follow.
I guess so.
Okay.
I'm with the team this weekend. I'll see if I can get in his ear and figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah. I mean, that was interesting. I never
One of the
seen
strangest plays I've ever seen. 0-1 for McNamee. Another run just 180 feet away. Long wait on the mound by Big, and he'll step off.
Well, Big Mac, I'd like to see him hit one to left center instead of going to right field for fly balls. Go to left.
0-1 for McNamee. That one works its way outside. McNamee has been incredibly consistent this year, and even if he's not always getting base hits, he's finding a way to get on base here and there.
Well, he's the best defensive outfielder in the league. He might go to third. Look at him. Oh, he's
1-1 in the dirt. That would have been the pitch to do it on.
Baez has got ants in his pants on second base. I mean, he just can't sit still.
McNamee has reached base safely in 10 straight games. He's one of 3 Otters that has a 10-plus game on-base streak.
Wow.
The other one being George Khalil, who has reached base in all 13 games he's played. 2-1 for Elijah McNamee. There goes Baez to third, and it's chopped foul back.
I knew it. I could see he wants that third base.
Well, you wonder what the mentality is like for a pitcher when you see a guy of Jeffrey Baez's build trying to steal bases on you.
Yeah. I'm surprised at shortstop don't sneak behind him, you know. I mean, right now you got plenty of time. Just give the catcher a call to say, hey.
2-2 for Mac. Catches the high inside corner for a called strike 3.
Yeah, Mac.
That's the third strikeout of the game for Brock Baig.
And it's a low pitch that we've been calling. You know, like we said, you got 2 strikes, you better be swinging at that pitch.
So now
I guess he doesn't have his radio on listening to you.
With 2 down and 1 on, Steven Sinsley makes the walk in. He struck out swinging his first time up. Sinsley with that wide open base stance, or plate stance, that he closes up at the last second.
And strides forward toward the pitcher and slaps the ball pretty strongly to left center.
Big gap once again out there in left center. Opening pitch to Sinsley. Just missing on the outside corner of the plate. 1-0. Well, I'm eager to get to that 7th or 8th inning and hear what the attendance is here tonight, because this is a fantastic crowd.
I'm going to say about 2,700.
It sounds like the projection was near 4,000.
Really?
A 1-0 to Sinsley, and checking out on the runner on second is Brock Baig.
See, this would be a good time for that shortstop to float in behind second base and try for a pickoff. Not when Baez is standing still, but when he gets that rabbit jumping. Like now, he's bouncing around.
1-0 for Sinsley, and time must have been called before the pitch.
Yeah.
And regardless, if nothing else, Jeffrey Baez is making sure that he is the first thing on Brock Biggs' mind and not the batter.
Yes.
Which is a first or a one-way ticket to struggling on the mound when you get his focus off. Hard hit towards the second baseman. It's under his glove. Into right field, and a run's going to score.
Error. It's an error.
The second error of the game by Flotte on second. And this one allows a run. Sorry, Sinsley, you don't get an RBI this time.
That's right. That's right.
But Baez scores easily. And now with 2 outs, Justin Felix makes the walk back up. Felix started that last count, I believe 1-2, and he came back and earned a walk in his first at-bat of the game. Pretty small lead for Steven Sinsley, not a guy you really think about stealing. Pitch day's a bit high for ball 1.
Now there is something for the first time. Did you hear the railroad train? That used to be something I'm going back to 50 years or 60 years ago. You always heard that train.
One of the count to Felix. Hard swing for strike 1.
When we used to be on the radio, 95 point Evansville University, Paul Mattingly was the producer director, and he used to work for the railroad. And we used to always swear. Paul used to call and say, "Bring that train through." And I tell you, he was one of the greatest producers, directors we ever had. It was a pleasure working with that man, Paul Mattingly. I don't know what he's doing now, but whatever it is, and Paul, if you're listening to the game, we miss you. You were one of the greatest.
1-1 to Felix, misses just a tad bit high, and the count now at 2 balls, 1 strike. 2 outs and a runner on first. 2 have already scored here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Coming home is the 2-1. This one's launched out towards left. Retreating back 3 or 4 steps is Jones, and then he brings it in for out number 3. Otters scored 2 more and double their lead. They lead 4-0 as we head to the 4th inning here on your home for Otters Baseball, the Otters Digital Network, and Flow Sports. Getting you started with the solo shot from J.R. Davis that started off the scoring there in the 3rd inning. That was followed by a single from Baez. He'd steal second, and then Sinsley would bring him home on an error. But good to see J.R. Davis returning to the home run ranks. He really got a hold of that pitch. Seems like every time J.R. Davis homers, it seems to be over that left field wall. But now the score 4-0, and man, it makes the game for Tim Holdgrafer so much more easy every run you give him.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been in baseball a few years, and you never have enough runs. I don't care. Bob Feller was out in that mound, and you were winning 11-0, and we come in the 7th or 8th inning, I'd be still sweating.
Well, and that's one of the things about the bullpen. You can have the best bullpen arm in the game of baseball, and on any given day, they could struggle and the game could disappear.
Oh yeah, that is so true. A lot of errors. I mean, a lot of Otters have lost games when the relievers came in and gave up
We've
the
seen it
winning
this year a
runs.
couple times.
Yeah,
Tim Holgrafer's opening night start was fantastic, but then the bullpen gave up 5 runs in the first inning after he exited the game, and just like that, the win was pulled out from underneath him.
exactly.
It's just so easy for it to happen.
That's right.
Gets a first pitch called strike 1, and now he's ahead in the count against Jackson Valera, who grounded out his first time up. 0-1, high inside corner. Tim Holgrafer says, "Thank you very much." Strike 2.
Well, you made reference several times earlier about how the Otter pitchers have started off the game with the first batter strike 1, strike 2. So here we are starting off this inning exactly as you called it.
Chop towards Khalil at short on 2 hops. Throw to first, plenty of time. Out number 1. And it just makes your job easier on the mound when you pitch the way Holdgrafer does, because every time other than the one foul out that he's had contact made, it's been on the ground and his defense backs him up.
Right. You've mentioned that earlier, and that's because he's throwing the ball low, which is meaning that the batters are getting the bat on top of the ball, not under the ball.
Coco Figueredo, who's 0 for 1, steps in. High outside. Figueredo trying to keep that perfect on-base streak alive. 17 of 17.
I was reading an article from the Boston Brave Historical Association, which I'm a member. There's not many of us Boston Brave people alive. And they were telling a story about Paul Wainer. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. They called him Big Poison. And it was talking about his 3,000th hit, that he hit a ground ball and the shortstop kind of fumbled it, and they stopped the game, and that was his 3,000 hit. And now, before I go any further, Paul Wainer used to come here frequently. I mean, Paul Wainer would be in Bosse Field, I'm going to say at least 3 to 5 times a year. So the story I got came directly from Paul Wainer. So to read about it, it was so interesting to me. When Paul tells the story, he said, I yelled up to that club, to the press box, I don't want it. If it's not a clean hit, I don't want it. Now, reading the story, that's exactly what it says. And I said, Paul told me that story, so now it's true. And Paul was one of those guys. He said, one day I was sliding into second base. And the infielder noticed there was some blood, and they said, you're bleeding. He said, oh my God, I broke the pint of whiskey that was in my back pocket, and the glass cut him. Paul loved to have a few drinks. Anyway, he was an interesting man. Paul Wainer, Big Poison.
Full count to Coco Figueredo. That one bounces across for ball 4, and it's just the 3rd walk all year handed out by Tim Holgrafer.
Yeah, Paul Wainer and Bob Coleman were buddies because Coleman was a coach with the Braves in Boston when Paul Wainer was a player. So their relationship went back many, many years. I'll tell you else who used to be a frequent visitor here to Evansville, and that was A.B. Chandler. Now, he was the commissioner of baseball, and he'd be in the locker room, I'm going to say 4 or 5 times a year. So we used to know the commissioner plus a Hall of Famer. Maybe that's why we won the pennant every year.
Jared Mang fouls back the first ball he sees. He struck out looking his first time up.
Yeah.
On a pitch that was in a really nice spot. He just laid off on it.
Yeah. I know you're new to this city. And of course, I was too back in '56. Now it's my home. But many, many Hall of Famer ball players played on this field. Many, many Hall of Famers.
Oh, 1 for Jared Mang. He lifts this one up towards the right side. Sinsley running after it in foul territory, but it will land on top of the seating area at Bosse Field for strike number 2.
In fact, one Hall of Famer actually only played 20 games here, but yet is in the Hall of Fame. And he was a catcher. Now, I'm not going to mention his name, but I'll give you a hint. He played 20 games here in Evansville and got sent back down to the lower minors, but yet is in the Hall of Fame because of his TV personality. He was a catcher. Used to advertise Miller High Life beer. I want that better seat or something. You remember that?
I don't.
He used to advertise for beer about he was sitting up in left field or something about it anyway. Anyway, Bob Uecker. Uecker played in 20 games here and got shipped out, but is in the Hall of Fame as a TV analyst.
0-2 for Mang. Again, a foul ball.
Jammed him on that one.
But that's a good defensive hitter.
Yes.
If it's close, he gets it away.
Yep. Yeah, Bob Uecker, what an arm he had. He had a Kentucky rifle shotgun arm too, but had so much velocity, they used to skip into second, end up in center field.
Once again, for the 4th time, the 0-2 to Jared Mang. And Holdgrafer steps off.
You know, I've always said it. I don't think an umpire should call timeout when a pitcher is ready to deliver that ball. A pitcher can hurt his arm stopping.
We see a lot of batters do that just to throw off the rhythm.
Right.
And the 0-2 misses low outside.
If you don't want to get out of that batter spot, call timeout now. Not when the guy's ready to deliver. In fact, already in the motion of delivering.
So now the count at 1-2.
Looks like he's going. No, he's not.
Swinging strike 3, and it's the 2nd strikeout of the game for Jared Mang. It's the 6th, the German American Bank strikeout of the game for Tim Holdgrafer.
Yeah, right, 6.
And now the right fielder Connor Owings makes the walk-in. And during one of our breaks, you and I took a look at the history for Connor Owings. Not a lot of professional or not a lot of affiliated ball played. About 3.5 years in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization at the high A level.
Still, he's a grandfather, and to be, well, I'm going to say he loves the game. When you are that old and you're still playing, you know you're not going to make the majors. You're playing for the love of the game.
So 1-0 count to start as Owings took a pitch outside. Very small lead at first for Coco Figueredo. The 1-0 driven hard to the right side, but foul. And with that walk for Coco Figueredo, he does reach base safely. 18 games in a row now for him. Quick check over there on the right side. That ball went zooming into the seating area. Looks like everyone's okay, though. 1-1 count for Connor Owings with 2 outs and a runner on here in the top half of the 4th inning. Got the high outside corner for a called strike 2. Oh boy, that might be the furthest outside we've seen, furthest outside of the zone we've seen a pitch called.
That's right. And Owen, it was hesitant. He had the gun loaded, didn't pull the trigger, but he had it loaded.
Could be a payoff pitch here. The 1-2 to Owings. Sent straight at Khalil at short, who plays it on 2 hops. He'll opt to just step on second himself for the third out of the inning, and Holdgrafer works around a one-out walk. After 3.5 innings, Otters still lead this one 4-0 on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Getting a couple of looks at the crowd here at historic Bosse Field. Good crowd on hand here for a gorgeous Thursday night of baseball. Almost kind of feels like the Friday night game since the team will be out of town this weekend. Everyone come out a night early and enjoy a night with the family. That's kind of what it seems to be tonight. Lots of families.
Well, I hope so, because I know tomorrow night I'll be home and I'll be watching, what's it, Flow Baseball, FLO Baseball. So I'll be seeing you guys on the computer. And I'll be drinking my, was it AW root beer, and I make it root beer.
Let's go ahead and take a second to remind you that Frontier League Baseball on Flow Sports is presented by Budweiser, the king of beers.
That's funny. You mentioned I was advertising root beer, and you're bringing in Budweiser.
What do you know? And speaking of the king of last night was Miles Gordon, just about hit for the cycle. A single, a double, and a triple.
That's right.
One of his first and one of his best nights at the plate this year. He is currently 1 for 1 with a 2-run single so far in the game.
I don't know how many times in my lifetime I batted, probably in the thousands. Talking from, young, high school, semi-pro, pro, whatever.
Gordon sends one out towards left center. Chasing it down is Jones and brings it in for out number 1.
But the point I'm making is thousands and thousands of times I have been a batter. I have never came close to hitting for the cycle. Maybe because I was too fast and I made too many triples out of doubles.
Well, that's the thing. That triple is the hardest one to get. And,
I know it.
Here comes 2 guys yesterday who do it with ease almost.
There was I don't remember who, but we had a situation years ago of one of the Otter players was going for the cycle. He had the home run, and he had, I don't know, two doubles. All he needed was the triple. And there was a situation that he could have got the triple, but he stopped and went back and got like a second or third double. And we're saying, hey, you're never going to get another chance. You should have taken the opportunity to go for 3. But anyway, that's the closest I've seen anyone go for the cycle.
Quickly 0-2 for Khalil, but then he takes a ball up high to make the count 1-2. Khalil with a base hit already in this game. And I put it in my notes to mention, and I just forgot about it because things were moving quick after the home run from J.R. Davis. That single from Jeffrey Baez in the last half inning was his 3,400th plate appearance in his career.
Wow.
Spans almost 900 games worth across 12 seasons.
Wow. That is a lot of baseball.
And he's played affiliated, he's played independent ball, he's played foreign leagues, he's played collegiately, just all over.
That's an awful lot of baseball games.
2-2 for George Khalil.
Strike three.
And yes, indeed.
Yep, right down the middle.
Called strike three, sits down Khalil, and there's quickly 2 outs here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. It'll bring up the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Gary Mattis. But I tell you, it shows you the type of guy Jeffrey Baez is, playing this game because he just plain loves it, playing that many games and still playing at this level.
You've got it when you stay in the game as long as he has, and as long as Owen has. You're playing for the love of the game, not for the money, because you're not going to make much money in this league. Now, if you're in the big show, getting millions, that's different.
Well, the crazy thing is, Baez is only 28 years old.
Wow.
He's just put a lot of years in. The 1-0 sends out towards center. Chasing it is Mang, and he makes a great catch on the run.
He outran that ball.
For out number 3. So after 4 complete innings, Otters are holding on to their 4-0 lead. We're having a great night of baseball here from historic Bosse Field. Join us for the top of the 5th right after this.
A hot dog.
The Evansville Otter Bells helping to celebrate YMCA night here at the ballpark. A lot of families out here. Great to see a good crowd on hand for a Thursday night game. And
oh, yeah.
The Otters are trying to bless them with quality baseball. We've seen rock-solid pitching from Tim Holgrafer on the mound. The bats have gotten alive early in this one, picking up right where they left off yesterday.
Yep. I'm going to ask you a question now. I'm putting you on the spot, not to embarrass you, but has anyone ever approached you and said, "Oh, Matthew, I've heard your voice before. You're on the radio," besides your mother and father?
Not really. My sportscasting teacher at USI this year is Joe Downs of Channel 44. So in class, he'd mentioned that he listened to a USI game, but not typically, no.
Well, the reason I brought that up is today I started my therapy. And the young therapist, she was asking me a lot of questions. And one of the questions was, "Do you climb stairs?" And I said, "Yes." And she said later, "Where?" And I said, "Bosse Field." She said, "Oh, Bosse Field." She said, I recognize your voice." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Are you on the radio, and can we listen to you in the ladies' or restrooms?" I said, "Yeah, we do broadcast, and it is carried into the restrooms." She said, "That's where I know you. I recognized your voice." So here I'm recognized simply because, anyway, in the restrooms, put it that way. I said, "I'm going to mention you on the radio tonight."
Hermindo Escobar leads off the half inning for Lake Erie. He's looking at a 2-1 count after dancing around a couple of pitches. Hard swing on the 2-2, and he gets a little flare of a leg kick afterwards. Count evens at 2-2. May never see a player as animated as Hermindo Escobar this year. 2-2. Oh,
three,
boy.
Strike three.
That off speed just glided towards the outside edge of the plate and just caught the zone. That is a gorgeous strikeout pitch. And that's good for strikeout number 7. All 7 of them German American Bank strikeouts. It'll bring up the second baseman, Bryant Flatte, who's 0 for 1. He currently has the only outs in this game for Lake Erie that's in the air. Everything else has been on the ground or strikeouts.
Well, how many strikeouts did Holgraffer have before the game?
Before the game, he entered with.
You said he was 4th in the league or something?
Yeah, he entered with 24 entering the game. As the ball sent towards Khalil on the ground, he makes a good scoop and a throw over for out number 2.
But he was 4th or something in the league at that time.
Believe so.
Well, as we say, he's got the shortstop twice, center fielder twice, and the catcher have struck out twice so far.
He entered the game 10th in the league in strikeouts. But if you look at just the amount he's gotten so far in this game, he's tied for first in the league now.
Okay. He belongs in the All-Star game. Phillips belongs in the All-Star game.
Danny Perez, first pitch he sees, sends it out towards Mattis on the slide and a throw over.
Yep.
Good play there, ends the inning. The infield is helping out the pitcher, and we have seen a defensive masterclass from these Otters thus far tonight. We head to the bottom half of the 5th inning, with the Otters still leading 4-0. Bottom half of the 5th inning. Up next here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Baseball. And due up in the half inning will be J.R. Davis, Jeffrey Baez, and Dakota Phillips. The same 3 that led off the 3rd inning, but the Otters ended up scoring 2 in.
That's a pretty potential number 3 batters. I know if I was a pitcher, I wouldn't want to face them.
Yeah, the 2-3-4 is always a scary part of the lineup to have to see coming up next. And kind of fitting in with what we've seen this entire series, both bullpens staying pretty dormant throughout the games. First pitch for J.R. Davis. Ooh, that must not have missed by much. That low pitch has been called a strike a lot tonight.
I don't know how much you agree with this theory, but I'm a person that believes if a pitcher is doing well, leave him out there. No sense because he's thrown 50 pitches or 100 pitches or whatever. Hey, if the guy is pitching well, I don't care. Leave him there.
Well, especially with the Otters currently rocking a 6-man rotation. That's an extra day of rest.
Right.
You can get a couple extra pitches out of him. Sure, use it.
Oh.
Davis off the leg of the shortstop. That one's going to kick way into left field, and Davis is going to get a free base because of it.
Error. Down as an error.
So solid hitting there from Davis, earns himself a couple of bases on the air.
Now, how did you see that, Maxwell? I mean, did you think it hit off the bottom of his shoe or what?
Yeah, I thought it was getting towards the glove, but it looked like it ended up going off like the shin almost.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now, it might have just gone off the glove and it just hit really hard, but
Right.
I'm not exactly sure. It was a hard hit ball, that's for sure.
Yes, it was. You're right. And it puts the Otters in the scoring position again.
With no outs.
Yeah, with some good power coming up.
Baez gets a little piece of the off speed, just enough to dribble it foul.
You know, if I had anything to do with the hitting of Baez, I would go down there and say, you've got so much potential. Swing only at pitches over the plate. Don't reach. You notice how he reaches an awful lot. You're taking his power away.
0-1 for Baez.
See what I mean?
Lifts it out towards left center. Mang thinks he's underneath it, and he is for out number 1.
Now, see, he stayed his grounds there, and he hit that ball pretty solid. You know, sometimes all it takes is the slightest adjustment in a batter's at bat, whether a swing or a stance. You don't have to remake a batter. All you got to do is say, just do this.
That exact same hit in a different situation falls for a base hit.
Right.
You never know. So
Right.
that's a quality at bat. That's a quality contact swing there.
Yes.
Dakota Phillips due up next, 1 for 2 with a single and a pop out.
You know, I bet his mother's watching this game and listening to us right now. Mom, get the rosaries out. We need to run.
1 out and a runner on second. Bottom half of the 5th inning here. He thinks about going around.
Low and
Ends
outside.
up being ball outside and low.
Right. We need the extra run. Plus, Dakota needs to hit to keep that 400 batting average.
Dakota Phillips enters the game with a 436 average that leads the team. Yeah. As the 1-0 sent on its way.
Got jammed a little on that inside pitch.
But the count now evens up at a ball and a strike for Dakota Phillips. He'd love to get a base hit here and drive in a run.
Oh, I'd love to.
Phillips has 7 RBIs on the season.
Just 7 RBIs?
7.
He needs, I'm going to say he needs between 10 and 15 to make that all-star team.
Currently, Justin Felix and Gary Mattis lead the team with 4 RBIs each. McNamee and Bierman follow with 9 each.
Oh.
Then you've got Phillips and Armstrong at 7 apiece.
Really? Armstrong. Wow.
A 1-2 for Phillips. That one's a bit outside. Bring that just a little bit in, and that's right where Phillips likes it.
Yep.
But it evens the count at a pair, ball and a pair of strike.
Dakota's not a bad 2-strike hitter. Maybe not get the base hit, but he does make contact.
Big gap on that left side of the infield. The 2-2 for him. In the dirt, full count.
You know, as a scout, I'm talking about a free agent scout, there's different levels of scouting. And someone who scouts high school and college and American Legion, they're called free agent scouts. And a lot of times you're scouting in the free agent world, and especially high school, and some parent will say, oh, you know, my son's a better hitter, and they're not pitching to him. And you turn around to the mother or to the father and you say, we as a scout, we're not worried about how many hits he gets. It's how many contacts he makes. I mean, you can drill a ball 400 feet and it's caught. So it's an 0-1. But the thing is, if you have 4 at-bats and you drill the ball 4 times, your batting average is 0-0-0. But as a scout, I'm saying this guy is a good hitter.
Well, we see a nice performance there from Phillips. Work from a 1-2 count all the way out to a walk.
Right.
Gets himself to first. Now runners at first and second with just one out. Brings up Elijah McNamee, who's 0 for 2, reaching on the air and striking out thus far.
Yeah, well, he looked at that last time, and he knew it was a strike. Big hit Mac has got to drill one to left center. Look at that gap.
Oh, he had his eyes filled with glory on that swing, but it was high and outside of it.
Good call, because I was just about to say it. That was out of his strike zone. Way outside and too high. That's why he hits a lot of balls to right field, because he goes for those outside pitches.
So it's 0-1 for McNamee. Long wait before the next pitch. Ooh, and then he gets fooled on a breaking pitch that sinks.
Off speed. Yeah, high outside pitch. He swings and misses. Then you change it to an off speed and just about reaches home plate.
And the score might be 4-0 with him on the losing side, but Brock Baig has really used his off-speed pitch as well.
Oh, yes.
He's got a really good range from 70s all the way up to 90s, depending on what he's throwing.
Right.
Oh, man, that's a nice pitch that just misses outside, trying to punch him out. 14-mile-an-hour difference in those last two pitches.
Yeah.
If you can locate at all and you have that type of balance between an off-speed and a fastball, that's a dangerous mix.
You're right. And there's so many pitchers that have a good off-speed, but they don't utilize it.
1-2 for McNamee. Just barely gets a piece of one and sends it towards the dugout of the Otters. Almost snags hitting coach Bobby Siegel. He gets his head down in time. He's all right.
So many pitchers think to move up the ladder, you have to have a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. And so that's all they concentrate on. Yet they have a great slider or curve or off speed, but they still rely because you don't move up the ladder unless you throw 90.
And those are the same guys that are getting Tommy John surgery in high school because they've thrown out their arms. Again on the 1-2 for McNamee. He lifts this one out towards right. Shallow right, and it falls. Was it fair? They say no, it dropped foul.
Yeah.
But very close.
And it would have been possibly a double play. If the umpire ruled fair, the runner was still on first, so you get the force at second, the batter's still at home plate, double play. Bobby Botts is a pitcher, made the majors, one of my teammates. I can't tell you how many times you would have runners on base, whether first or second, or even the bases loaded, and there'd be the slightest pop-up between home plate and the mound, and he'd wave everybody off, and then he'd make believe he caught it, and it'd drop, and then he'd go to second to first, double play. He was a perfectionist at that. I mean, he put on a show that you would swear he went after it.
Well, then, of course, they implemented that infield fly rule.
Right.
But then there are certain indications where that rule doesn't apply, like if it's an attempted bunt. And I believe it just a couple weeks ago.
It has to be a certain height.
A couple weeks ago, we saw the Cardinals. Someone dropped down to bunt, and because it was a bunt, the infield fly rule doesn't apply. They let it drop, fired to second and then first, and got a double play to end an inning.
Just
and it
like
was just high baseball IQ at the time of the play.
Right. They must have been watching Bobby Botts years ago.
Meanwhile, Elijah McNamee is staying very defensive in the box. Fouled a couple pitches off in a row now.
Yeah.
Still looking at a 1-2 count with 1 out and 2 on.
You'd be surprised how many major league games are copies of minor league games. They make the millions.
1-2 sent right back up the middle. A 2-hopper to the second baseman, Forte. To second for 1, first for 2, and that will end the inning. A 4-3 double play sends us to the top half of the 6th inning. Otters still ahead in this one, 4-0. Frontier League Baseball on Flow Sports is presented by Old National Bank, your bank for Evansville, your bank for life. And Tim Holdgrafer, old Timmy, hops back up on the mound. Solid outing for him thus far. 7 strikeouts across 5 innings. He's only allowed 1 ball to be up in the air, and that was a foul out. Other than that, his defense has worked really hard behind him. He's been fun to watch. First offerings to Alonzo Jones, who grounds it foul to the left side.
And I'm going to say that was one of his bad pitches. It was a hanging curveball, and he got away with it.
So 0-1 to Alonzo Jones. Missing outside. That pitch just looked like it just kept carrying and carrying to the outside. We also want to wait till after the next pitch on the 1-1 to Jones. Want to thank all of our listeners who are listening over there on the Otters Digital Network on YouTube. We know that there was some struggles with the audio last night. We hopefully got those fixed. If you're still having issues with the audio, if it sounded a little rough, please let us know in the comments. But we do thank you for joining us here on YouTube for the Otters Digital Network audio-only streams, as well as all of you listening on Flow Sports. A 1-2 for Alonzo Jones.
Ooh,
Caught him looking on the low outside corner. It's this 8th German-American Bank strikeout of the game for Alonzo Jones, or for Tim Holdgrafer, I'm sorry. And that's the 4th called strike 3.
Right, and the 4th batter that struck out twice. And the umpire was a little hesitant to call it. He must have listened to me.
He's really taken his time on some of these called ones to step way back and lean into his punch out.
Yep.
Well, another one who has struck out twice, Keenan Irizarry, steps back in. First pitch for him here, way inside. He hops out of the way for ball 1.
You know, about 2 weeks ago, within that area, I was up in Plainfield, Indiana, suburb of Indianapolis. I was watching my grandson play high school, and I never seen an umpire in high school call a 3rd strike. I mean, he gave you the biggest, jumped out of behind the plate. He gave you that big pull. And, I mean, it was exciting watching him. Never mind the guy struck out. I mean, he was dramatic, like he was going to be on ESPN that night.
1-0 for Keenan Irizarry, ahead in the count for the first time this evening. Ooh, thinks about swinging. Probably should have, because it's a called strike 1.
Just think of it. You just got called out. It's bad enough that you get called out without the umpire making.
1-1 count to Keenan Irizarry. No one on, 1 out. Hard swinging strike 2, and for the 3rd time in the game, he's found himself with 2 strikes, and he's going to have to compete. This is where Tim Holdgrafer excels. He's got 2 balls to throw away if he needs.
Low and inside, down by his ankle.
The 1-2.
Right there, okay.
Low and inside, he puts it in play. Just foul. Oh, that could not be fouled by any more.
That's the one thing I'll disagree with our first baseman. He has a habit of fielding that ball and pulling his arm up quick. And sometimes that ball is not in the glove.
Well, of course, it ended up being foul, but his eyes were already up when the ball was entering his glove, and that's come back to haunt him a couple times in the last few weeks.
I don't know if you remember Al Campanis. You ever heard of him? Al Campanis used to be a general manager of the L.A. Dodgers.
1-2 is lifted towards the left side. Chasing after it is J.R. Davis, and he'll end up letting it go as it gets just a little too close for comfort to the bullpen.
And I was with Al down in Baltimore a week before he got fired. Anyway, the point I'm making is Baltimore was taking infield, and infielders in those days, and they still do, a lot of them They take one step to the left or right, and they backhand it. Ball flips off the heel of the glove. And Al Campana said, "You'll never see a Dodger do that."
The 1-2. This
Base
one
hit.
is dropped
Base hit.
into center field, and in the top of the 6th inning, the no-hitter finally ends.
Yep. And it was a blooper, a slap type base hit, not a clean, but well, it is a clean.
That's okay. That's okay. Tim doesn't have the no-hitter in
Oh,
his mind now. Now he can just focus on
right.
The next step.
The wind is the most important, not the
Absolutely.
the strikeout. I mean, not the no hitter. It wouldn't be the first no hitter for the Otters anyway.
Not quite.
We've had several.
3 to be exact. 2 of them in 7-inning games. 1 in a 9-inning game.
Yes. Oh boy, you know your homework.
Pitch gets a little close for comfort to Jackson Valera. He bails out with a smile on his face.
Yeah, the 7-inning game was by a former Yankee Major League draft, number 1 draft.
(1-0) the count with 1 out.
Strike. Yep.
Called strike 1, evens the count at 1-1. The last one was in 2018, a combined no-hitter by Ty Hensley and Matt Chavarria. Chavarria now an assistant coach over at the University of Southern Indiana, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With Tracy.
Yeah,
With
yep,
Tracy.
one of Tracy's assistants. 1-1 for Jackson Valera. Runner on first and 1 out. Long wait for Holgrafer, and he misses on the outside.
One of the former Evansville Brave 1957 pitchers is not, there he is right there. We called him the General, Robert E. Lee. And he was one of the ones that recommended Tracy for the job because Tracy worked for him. He owned the Kenosha Ball Club in the Midwest League. Robert E. Lee, we called him the General. I'll tell you a real quick story about the Robert E. Lee.
Valera waiting on a 2-1 with 1 out and a runner on. Hard swinging strike 2.
If you go back into the Courier Press records, when Bob Lee pitched here, he was a left-hander. Wild as can be. He's liable to pitch 7 innings and strike out 14. But when you look at the other side, he probably walked 10. He had a great fastball, but he couldn't control it.
2-2 for Valera. Holgrafer sends it home and just about snags a strikeout, but just getting a piece of it was Valera, keeping himself alive. 2-2 the count. 1 out, 1 on. Otters lead by 4 in the top half of the 6th inning. Long wait for Holgrafer up there on the mound. Long look over there at first. Here comes the 2-2. Oh, got him with the off speed.
Did he pull the string on that one?
And Valera comes up with his arms up like this, smiling, and he looks up at Holgrafer and gave him a smile. Sometimes a hitter just knows he's got beat. It's the 9th German American Bank strikeout for Holgrafer in the game.
I mean, 9 strikeouts, and we're only in the 5th inning. He's got a chance of better than 13.
And how many have been on that off speed?
Yeah.
That's bit so hard.
Well,
so Coca Figueredo up next, and he takes a strike 1 on the high outside.
You know, you called it earlier in the broadcast when you said there's a good relationship between the pitcher and catcher, working together, knowing strengths and weaknesses.
Well, and it helps that Felix and Holgrafer worked together last year as well, and this year they've pitched and caught all games together, and I'm not breaking that up anytime soon.
Right.
If he's the one on the mound, he's the one behind the plate.
Right.
0-1 just misses on the outside corner, but it's pitches like those. That's a very competitive pitch to allow for ball one. Top of the sixth inning, one runner on, 2 outs, and a 1-1 count for Coco Figueredo. Time was called right before the pitch again.
There was a major league pitcher, a pretty good one. I don't remember who, but the story goes he was a good major league pitcher, and he used to tell the manager, this is who catches. And that catcher, he caught all of his pitches or pitchers' games. Outside of that one pitcher, he didn't catch many other games. So he was. I brought my own catcher, so.
Ball lifted up towards shallow center. Gordon calling everyone off, and he hauls it in for the third out of the top of the sixth inning. Holdgrafer gives up his first hit of the game, but he also picks up strikeouts 8 and 9 as we head to the bottom half of the sixth here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Nice big crowd on hand here at historic Bosse Field as the Evansville Otters are trying to snag sweep number 2 of the season. They swept the Empire State Grays a couple weeks ago, and a win tonight would give them sweep number 2, and they're only their second win of a series this year, but at least you're trying to do it in convincing fashion.
Well, against a team in your own division, yes.
So stepping up to lead off the half inning will be Steven Sinsley. He'll be followed by Justin Felix and Miles Gordon. The three have combined for just one base hit, yet all three have reached base at least once in some way or another. First pitch to Sinsley, right across the outside half for a called strike one. Here comes the 0-1. They try to go right back to the outside. It stays too high. There is an arm warming up for Lake Erie out there. He's been out there for a couple innings, I believe. Seems to be Jacob Gilliland. 1-1 misses outside again.
Now, correct me. Well, okay. I was going to say that's the first 3-0 count, but it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count.
2-1 right across the heart of the plate, evening the count at 2-2. Apologize to those of you watching on Flow Baseball and Flow Sports for some of those technical difficulties. Unfortunately, this piece is out of our control. We thank you for sticking with us and listening. The 2-2.
Still right.
Caught him looking. It is the 5th strikeout of the game for Brock Baig. And with that, the catcher Justin Felix makes the walk up 0 for 1 with a flyout and a walk. Felix was in a really good form in the last few games. Has worked his average up to 275. Has 4 home runs on the year, good for 10th most or 9th most in the Frontier League. Tied for the team lead in RBIs with 11. He's put together a good stretch of baseball.
I'm going to say there that one ball game on the road, he got a double and a single and drove in 2 RBIs in the situation, or 4 RBIs, two RBIs in both those hits. That wasn't bad.
He also had the 3-run home run against Ottawa that gave the Otters the win. Starting off this count, looking at 0-2, however.
You know, if I was to go 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 tonight, but got 2 or 3 RBIs, I'd be happy.
Absolutely. An 0-2 for Felix. Ooh, he really waits on that one. That must not have missed by much.
No, but you notice he kept his eyes on that ball and went right down with his head to watch how low it was. In other words, he's following the pitch. Those are the things as scout you're watching, all those little tiny knickknacks.
So this time on the 1-2 for Felix. Ooh, hard swing there, and it's just missed by the catcher. Escobar is able to get a tiny piece with Felix.
There was a high school player up in New York City many, many years ago, pretty good hitter. And he was drafted AAA by Milwaukee. And it was funny, sitting in the stands, he was a hitter. He wasn't a good player, but he was a good hitter. And some of his classmates, we used to say, that's one of the things I used to enjoy, sitting in the stands scouting high school and college. And some of his classmates said, he better go into pro ball because he certainly can't graduate. He's not college material. Well, anyway, the point I'm making is pitchers, high school pitchers, wouldn't throw to him because of his hitting ability. And
2-2 for Felix, and he's going to sit down on the strikeout swinging for out number 2 in the half inning. 2 up, 2 down, both on strikeouts for the Otters in the 6th. That'll bring up the center fielder, Miles Gordon.
And the point I'm making was the pitchers wouldn't throw to him, so it would be a 3-0 count. I don't care where the pitcher threw the next pitch. He could have rolled it, and that batter was swinging. Now it's a 3-1. Next pitch, he could throw it over the backstop. He'd swing, strike 2. All he was doing is saying, give me one pitch, just one pitch. That's what you call confidence.
Time called by Miles Gordon. Now he steps back in, ready for his first chance of this at bat. 1 for 2 with a 2-run single in the 2nd and a flyout in the 4th. Called strike 1 starts it. Right now, he's got the game-winning RBIs.
Yeah. He could have had possibly 3 for 3, but they gave him an error in that last one.
0-1 works a bit outside.
You know, I'm going to tell you something off the record. Would you believe one of my sons-in-law, my daughter Mary Ann's husband, I scouted him in college. And I tell you, he was a prospect. He played ice hockey and baseball. And I was, again, my daughter wasn't dating him at that time, but I thought of drafting him. I didn't do it, but it's amazing to have a son-in-law and you look and say, I scouted you in college.
So you knew everything you needed to know about him when your daughter brought him home for the first time.
Yes. And he's one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. He's a great, great son-in-law. I've been very, very fortunate.
3-1 the count here to Miles Gordon. Trying to earn himself a free pass, maybe.
Strike.
Not on that pitch. That one carves the top half of the zone. Full count with 2 outs. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, no one on here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Gordon trying to extend the inning.
Ball
And
4.
he will with the ball 4 outside.
You know, I can't wait to the 7th inning so that Zane could sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." That's one of the highlights of the game.
Deerhead Sidewalk Cafe and Bar for Miles Gordon will extend the inning and bring up the shortstop George Khalil. Khalil is 1 for 2, and because of his single in the 2nd inning, he has reached base in all 14 games he's played this year. Extreme consistency.
Little timeout out here.
Time needed out there. No indication yet that they'll make a pitching change, and it doesn't quite look like now that they will.
You know, every time you talk about Otter players, you're always so positive. You're always, when you describe an Otter player, you're always given the positive aspect. You don't say anything negative.
Well, on the bright side, there has been a lot of positives. There are a few individuals on this team that really did struggle in Canada, especially Tuesday, the first game back after that trip. I tried to make a little bit more of an emphasis about some of those guys. I mean, Andy Armstrong really had a tough week in Canada. He starting to bounce back with a strong performance yesterday, but that's been the tough thing is you just had a lot of individuals struggle in Canada. Runner breaking for second is Gordon. He's in with a stolen base.
And the catcher had a Carlos Benito Santiago throw from his knees, and it was a pretty accurate one, too. You know, I like Armstrong. I mean, he's a 300 hitter, or has an average of 300. So he must have been batting 400 or so.
I believe he was at 470, maybe 460 when the team left for Canada, and then I believe he went 050 or 050 in Canada, and it tanked his average.
I tell you what, to me, he is the perfect shortstop for this club, and that's not to take anything away from this batter right here. But when you get a good second base shortstop combination between Armstrong and Mattis, stay with it.
Tonight's attendance, 4,099.
Wow. 4,000.
4,099 is the announced attendance.
That could be 4,100.
Yeah, beautiful crowd on attendance here at Bosse Field. Truly blessed to be able to get to be part of an event like this. Great to see the city of Evansville come together on a Thursday evening, and all summer long we've seen so far.
Well, you've got great fans here in Otterville. They support the Otters. They've always supported the Otters. And you know, the Otters are one of the longest tenured teams in this league.
The longest.
And they wouldn't be
1-1 crushed out towards left, but it's going to end up foul.
They wouldn't be still playing if it wasn't for the fan appreciation here.
Well, and I mean, it's something that maybe there are days that I show up to work here and I take it for granted a bit. But there's nights that I'll sit here and just be blessed to get to call games in a ballpark like this.
Oh,
I mean,
this is
the individuals who have sat in these seats and played on this field, it's just cool to be a part of.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what, you're sitting in a seat that, well, actually, the press box used to be upstairs on the roof. But there's a picture of a man up here in the press room, one of the greatest radio announcers I've ever met, and died in that Evansville basketball airplane crash. But no, this is history. This field is history.
2-2 count for George Khalil with 2 outs and a runner out on second. Big pitch here. Chops it towards the left side. Shortstop on 2 hops to first. In time, and that'll end the inning. And after 6 full, it's Otters 4, Crushers 0 here from historic Bosse Field. Getting set for the top half of the 7th inning here. We had scoring in the 2nd and 3rd inning from the Otters. Ever since, though, it has been all cool and copacetic. A rock-solid game from Tim Holgrafer on the mound. An even better game by the defense around him. Some offense early, but other than that, it has been nice and even and has really showed that these are two close teams, not only in the standings, but in skill on the field as well. Starting off the half inning for the Crushers is going to be the center fielder Jared Mang, who's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts so far.
Now, tonight we're ending up this homestand, and tomorrow night you're on the road. And where are you going tomorrow night?
Headed to Gateway, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, that's right. We're going to Gateway. Great, great city or town.
Missing on the inside corner is Holgrafer, down 1-0 in the count. Team will be in Gateway this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they're back in action all next week for home games, Tuesday through Thursday against Windy City, Friday through Sunday against Gateway. 1-0 on the outside half the plate. That one's called strike one.
That was that pitch he's been calling all night long, that umpire.
One ball, one strike. Kick and delivery from Holgrafer on the mound. Chopped foul back into the netting.
Well, he's got another chance for another strikeout if he I'd give him a high fastball. See if he chases it.
Lot to work with, and Holgrafer's been really good on these 1-2s so far tonight. Pitch on the way. Tried to get him to chase something outside. He says no.
No. Well, I think Felix was too far outside. You know, I mean, put the glove out there. You don't have to put your whole body.
Trying again now on the 2-2. This one on the inside half the plate, and it's sent out towards left field. Biles will pick it up after a leadoff single for Mang here in the half inning.
And that was a perfect strike, belt high. And that's why it was drilled out there and right. If that was elevated a little more, could have been a strikeout. But again, it's easy for you and me to sit up here and be Monday morning quarterbacks.
So Holgrafer now will have to defend up on the mound. It's the first time this evening he's had a runner on with no outs.
And the old man is now batting. Someone's going to write in and say, who is that guy saying the old man?
First pitch is inside for ball one. Owings is 0 for 2. He reached on an error in the second and then grounded into a fielder's choice in the fourth. One ball, no strikes for Connor Owings. Runner on first is Jared Mang. The 1-0 sent foul out of play to the left side. Mang is not necessarily a guy who is going to miss on stolen base opportunities this year. 5 of 6 there at first base.
Really?
Not really a guy who is going to skip out on opportunities. Doesn't show it here. A 1-0 is sent foul into the netting. Sorry, a 1-1, and that sends the count to 1-2.
Yes, now, Tim, throughout this whole game so far, has been throwing strikes. And there's a lot of batters have had 2 strikes on them. So you got to give him all kinds of gold stars for tonight's performance so far.
Now, he didn't do it the first time Owings had a 1-2. Well, let's see if he throws low towards the ankles.
Don't worry about him, Jim. Don't worry about him.
A throw over to first, back in plenty of time, is Mang.
Unless he's saying, I got to keep him close because the ground ball to get the double play. That might be on his mind.
Now set for the 1-2 to Owings.
Still right.
High outside corner called strike 3. Strikeout number 10 on the day for Tim Holgrafer. All of them brought to you by German American Bank.
Now, how many have been called strikeouts? I'm going to say 4.
5 of the 10.
All right, I said 4. Okay, 5. Okay. What I'm trying to point out is he must have something deceiving.
Well, it's because each one of his pitches moves in a very different way. You really have no idea which way a pitch is going to break.
Yeah. So for the catcher, that's very difficult too, because do I shift to the right when I call for a slider? Do I shift to the right or do I stay? Don Mattingly, one of my former teammates here, there goes Paul Mattingly with that train again. Anyway, Don Mattingly had a wicked slider that I used to shift when I called it to my right, and occasionally it would tail to the left, and then I'd have to call a cab to run back to the backstop to get the ball.
1-1 to Amino Escobar. Another throw over to first.
Yeah.
But Mang is back in time.
Paul Mattingly, what a great radio man.
Amino Escobar now waiting on the 1-1.
Ooh, what a pitch.
Deceiving pitch, catches the high inside corner.
Oh, I'll say.
71 mile an hour on that one.
You know, Escobar struck out twice so far in today's game, and he's been fooled several times in this game so far on the pitches. And he's got a quick bat. So when he's hesitating, he's not sure.
The 1-2 to Escobar. Chops it foul and loses the bat at the same time. Escobar did not play last night, but he did play in the series opener on Tuesday. And that one, he was 1 for 2 with a double, 2 walks, and a pop out. But tonight it's just been K's next to his name.
And that double's down the left field line, if I'm not mistaken.
Just snuck it in there.
Yeah.
The 1-2 to Escobar. Puts it right there at Davis. He's playing it perfect. To second for 1. To first in time. And it's a 5-4-3 double play that ends the half inning. We head to the bottom half of the 7th with the Otters up 4-0 here from Evansville. Stand up and stretch wherever you're listening. 7th inning stretch coming up next here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. New man up on the bump here for Lake Erie. They're going to opt to the right-handed pitcher of Jacob Gilliland. Gilliland is a guy we saw a couple of nights ago. He was part of the 5-pitcher outing on Tuesday for Lake Erie. He'll take out Brock Baig in this game. Baig went a long time for Lake Erie. Baig exits the game after 6 innings. He threw 113 pitches, gave up 4 runs on 6 hits, and struck out 6. Not a bad day for Brock Baig. So now into pitch is Jacob Gilliland. Gilliland is the call to the bullpen presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. And the pitcher-catcher battery is now Gilliland on the mound, throwing home towards Escobar. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. For all your battery needs, call The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. And this is going to be a big inning for the Otters. Do you take advantage of the pitching change? Do you force us to have the conversation of, was it the right time to pull the guy? 113 pitches is a lot. But I guess we'll see if it was the right move or not. So ready for the bottom half of the 7th inning here. And due up in the half inning for the Otters. We'll start off with the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Gary Mattis, who is 0 for 3 in the game with a strikeout and a couple flyouts to deep in the outfield. First pitch he sees, hey, watch out right up in there, and gets himself his first base hit of the game.
The first pitch, you knew, or I knew, I think everyone knew, that pitcher was going to throw a fastball, and he was ready.
Yeah, he took advantage of it right away. So one pitch, one on, and it'll bring up J.R. Davis. Davis has reached base all 3 times, 2 of 3 with a solo home run, a single, and reaching on the air in the 5th inning. A little bit of a wait here. A glance over there at Madison. He is shaking in his boots. He's headed to second. The throw out there, way outside. Mattis is upset with the second baseman. He thought the second baseman got in his way, and they're having words out there. The umpire has to stand in between them. With it, it is the 9th stolen base for Gary Mattis this season. That has him in second place all alone in the Frontier League.
Well, you could tell he was going to steal. Although I was surprised on the catcher, it was like a pitch out, so he had plenty of time to release it. And as accurate as his arm is, he was wild on that throw.
Well, and had Mattis not been caught up in the disappointment with the second baseman, he probably could have popped up and got himself to third.
Yeah, because the ball went into center field.
Yeah. So now with no outs and an 0-1 count to J.R. Davis, Gary Mattis is out there on second. He's breaking towards third. The throw out there, way outside again, and Mattis is going to get another stolen base. It is his 3rd game this season with multiple stolen bases.
Well, I'll tell you what. That catcher's throw, Escobar's throw again, was very, very erratic. Third baseman made a nice play, and Mattis was lucky he didn't get called because he was off balance, and the third baseman made a tag, but the umpire said, no, you're okay. That was close.
It's the 10th stolen base of the year for Gary Mattis, but that still has him at second place. He's now just 1 behind the leader in the Frontier League, who entering tonight was Brannon of the Washington Wild Things at 11. The 0-2 to J.R. Davis. Bouncing away from the catcher and retreating back towards third is Mattis. I'm okay with that. That's a smart play.
Yeah, no sense to take a chance. There's no outs. Why take a chance?
And it doesn't take too much for that catcher to make a smart play, get himself over to the line and tag you.
Plus, the pitcher came in to cover home.
The 1-2 for J.R. Davis. swinging at a pitch way outside, and it's a swinging strike three for J.R. Davis. That's part of the tough situation there, is that you had to take the two pitches to let Mattis steal, and now you're stuck at an 0-2.
Yes, but have you noticed on Davis so far this year, a lot of his strikeouts are on pitches way outside the strike zone where he's reaching for it.
So that'll bring in Jeffrey Baez, who is 1 for 3.
See, now what you would be teaching, or what you should be teaching, or maybe they do teach it, I don't know. But if you're going to go for that outside, low outside pitch, step it to right field. Don't reach.
The 1-0. Baez pushes it out to the right side, and it will fall for a base hit. An RBI single from Jeffrey Baez, and the lead hits 5.
Yep.
Well, it makes that couple of stolen bases important for Mattis. Just another insurance run.
Yep.
And now
here comes our all-star.
With 1 out and 1 on and 1 across in the half inning, Dakota Phillips makes the walk to the plate. 1 for 2 with a single, pop-up, and a walk thus far. And with Phillips, you're not guaranteed a hit every time he gets up there. That's for sure. But you are guaranteed a quality at-bat. Very rarely will he have a really, swinging at 3 really bad pitches. Or, he's usually very good about making sure that he is staying competitive, forcing the pitcher to work hard in the at-bat. That's what separates a good hitter from a great hitter.
I'll agree with you on that one, partner. And look at that gap in right and left center. That's a double, triple calling your name out loud, saying, Dakota hit me here.
The 1-0 to Phillips. Running towards second is Baez, and he's going to be out. Yes, indeed. Baez trying to pick up his second stolen base of the game, and he's caught stealing.
That was a heck of a throw from that catcher.
Bailed himself out for those rough ones against Mattis.
Yes, that was on the money.
And worth noting, of course, Phillips has his .436 average, but his on-base percentage is at .511 entering the game. So over half the time, he's finding a way to first base. Time taken before the 1-1. Now the base is empty and 2 outs instead of 1 on and 1 out. Here comes the 1-1. That one hangs in the high outside corner, but it's too far in the air for ball 2.
See, from here it looked like, that's his pitch. Outside high. Of course, we're talking high, strike zone high.
The 2-1. That one will catch zone on the outside corner. Phillips doesn't love it, but now have to compete on the 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Whoa, way inside. Phillips gets out of the way. Don't forget that the Otters head on the road after this one. 3 games at Gateway this weekend. Tomorrow's first pitch is scheduled for 6:45.
Well, you'll be leaving tomorrow morning, not tonight.
No, tomorrow morning.
Yeah. It's only a 2-hour ride.
Yeah, just about. So you can catch that game on the Otters Digital Network, the Otters YouTube page, with coverage starting at right about 6:35.
Ooh.
A swinging strike 3 sits down Phillips with a strikeout, his first strikeout of the game, and that ends the 7th inning, but not before another run scores for the Otters on the RBI single from Jeffrey Baez. After 7 full, it's Otters 5, Lake Erie 0. I want to remind you that Frontier League Baseball on Flow Sports is presented by Bud Light as we head to the top half of the 8th inning. And there he is, Tim Holgrafer, retaking the mound. And I don't want to say as soon because I don't want to hurt the poor guy. If he can get one out, it's the longest outing for a starting pitcher thus far for the Otters this year.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was about to say, leave him in. I don't care if the first batter or the second batter gets on. Leave him in. You're winning 5-0. He's pitching an outstanding game. He's got himself out of jams. Okay. Let him work himself out of this jam, too.
When every bullpen pitcher you don't use tonight, you can save for that Gateway Series where you might need every arm you've got. First pitch to Bryant Flotte.
Now, you have a record. How many pitches has Tim thrown, and how many have been strikes?
Well, we just saw pitch 98 or 99, so the next one will be number 100.
I'm going to say 65 have been strikes.
You are just about on the nose. Right there is the 100th pitch, and he's thrown 69 of the 100 for strikes.
So leave him in.
Absolutely. And a lot of the balls he's thrown have been very close. They've been challenging ones.
Exactly.
The 2-0 catches that high inside or high outside corner. Absolutely. More than happy to leave a guy in who is making batters work hard.
Yeah.
The 2-1 to Flotte. That one works a little far outside.
That was a breaking pitch that didn't break.
This feels like one of the only times we've seen 3-1 all night for Holgrafer.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I know we've seen a 3-2, but I don't know if we've seen a 3-1.
Well, there hasn't been many 3-2s or 3-1s, put it that way.
The 3-1 just misses high and outside, and it's the second walk issued by Holgrafer tonight. Entering the game, he just had 2 all season. Now he's got 4.
First baseman, number 34.
So now the 8-hole hitter, first baseman Danny Perez, makes the walk up. He's grounded out to Mattis at second, both times up thus far.
It'd be nice if he grounds out the third time to execute that DP.
Perez is straight out of college, played at Oklahoma Wesleyan last year.
Really? Oklahoma?
Ooh, just missing on the high outside corner was Holgrafer.
I played in Oklahoma. Lawton, Oklahoma. Adar, Oklahoma. Admore, Oklahoma.
A 1-0 to Perez. Again, misses outside.
Okay, this is when Felix goes out, depending on this pitch. Go out, pat him on the back, and just say, take it easy.
As you can see there on your screen, Jake Polancic starting to throw for the Otters out in right field, just in case. As the 2-0 heads home to Perez.
That's a strike.
That one right across the heart of the plate. The runner on first is Bryant Flotte, his first time on first so far in the game.
See, now, if I was Tim, I'd say the heck with that runner on first.
And he's only one of 3 unstolen base attempts this year as well. Don't even worry about him over there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concentrating on the batter.
The 2-1.
There you go.
Exactly what you needed. Sent up into the air in shallow left field. Dropping back to make the play is Khalil for out number 1.
You know, when you're out there pitching and you got a 5-0 lead, the runner on first don't mean a thing. If he scores, it's 5-1. But if that batter gets a home run, it's 5-2.
Well, the Otters are going to see Gateway tomorrow. Speaking of Gateway, Alonzo Jones makes his way to the plate. Played for the Grizzlies last year. First pitch. Oh, man. Must have just missed too far to the inside. 1-0 now the count to Alonzo Jones. Runner at first is Brian Flotte. 1 down in the inning. The 1-0. He thought about going. It stays too far inside.
You see, even though his pitches were called balls, all throughout the night, they've been close. I mean, they could have went either way, strike or ball.
And those last two both were very close on the inside.
Right.
But the count is at 2-0 for Alonzo Jones. He gets air underneath it, but it's foul to the left side, out of play. Final home game for the Otters this week. They'll be back on Tuesday for Taco Tuesday as they host Windy City for the first time this year. Windy City looks like a good squad. You're going to want to get here for games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. 2-1. Oh, man, that one must have... Another one that was right there on that low inside corner.
Right. I thought they was going to call a strike, but he's been consistent on that pitch all night. But we didn't get the break on that one.
So 3-1 now for Jones. This one is put up in the air. Gordon racing in from center field.
Center fielder.
But it's Khalil who drops back and makes it.
See, that's too far for the shortstop to be out there. I mean, he was in center field making that play.
It was a long run for Gordon, and they had a quick discussion afterwards. And probably just exactly what you mentioned, just even things up. It'll bring up the leadoff hitter, Keenan Irizarry, who struck out his first two times and then had a single in the sixth. First pitch to Irizarry. A bit too far inside. Okay with that one be a called ball.
I don't know what's your opinion. I know you and I have both complained about the outfield lights, but it seems like I can see the center fielder much better than I have in the last few games. Maybe they adjusted the lights.
1-0 is cranked foul to the right side. Maybe the physical therapy today gave you a little bit more vision to center field or something.
Yes.
Opened your eyes a little bit. It's still very dark out there, but it does look like maybe it's the light jersey they're wearing.
Well, whatever. But I tell you, I've been told, use your cane. Don't walk without that cane. That's something new for me.
1-1 for Irizarry, 2 outs, runner on first. Grounded right back up the middle. Mattis will play it on a couple hops to first. And getting out of the inning after the leadoff walk is Tim Holgrafer. Wonderful job. If that's the last pitch we see from him today, 115 pitches for him. What an outing for him. We head to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Otters still lead 5-0. Another pitching change here for Lake Erie. They're going to ask relief pitcher Sam Curtis to make the walk out from the bullpen. One of the longest tenured Crushers, 3rd year with the team. This is going to be appearance number 6 for him. An ERA that's just under 2. First time he's appeared this weekend. And that call to the bullpen is presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs.
You say this is his 3rd year with the club?
3rd year with the club.
He must like Lake Charles.
I guess so.
Or Lake Erie. Not like Charles. Like Charles is down there in Louisiana.
Sam Curtis on the mound, thrown home towards Escobar. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Take a quick look at the schedule up ahead for the Otters. 3 games at Gateway this weekend. 6:45 is first pitch tomorrow night. Join me on the pregame show here on the Otters Digital Network at 5:35 or 6:35. Then Monday, with the day off, they come back home and welcome Windy City to town, and we'll get another day game next Wednesday, once again at noon. After that, 3 games against Windy City next weekdays. Then they'll host the Gateway Grizzlies for a Friday-Saturday series. 6 games at home next week. We'd love to see you out here at Bosse Field. Want to buy tickets now? Hop on EvansvilleOtters.com and reserve them while you can.
And I would recommend the Taco Tuesday. I mean, those tacos are good.
First opportunity for McNamee up and foul out of play. Taco Tuesday on that Tuesday night against Windy City. I can't confirm or deny, but it sounds like our good friend Nate Barbie might make an appearance as the Taco again. But we're waiting confirmation about it.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to start no rumors.
Nope. Just report the
facts.
Yeah.
Just the facts.
And the facts is there could be an appearance. Quickly 0-2 to Elijah McNamee.
I'd like to see Elijah unload one over the Budweiser sign. I think that would give him such a lift.
Be a nice place for one. The 0-2 for him.
We know what he can do in the field. I mean, he can outrun any rabbit that you put out there. But he needs a little power.
Searching for a base hit tonight. 0 for 3, reaching on an error in the second, striking out in the third, and grounding into a double play in the fifth. The 0-2 once again. He lets it go by for ball 1.
You know, your first base, your third base, your right fielder, and your left fielder, they're your power hitters. At least when you're drawing up your team, that's what you're hoping for.
The 1-2. Sent on a line to the left side. Nice play from the shortstop. Long throw in time to put down Elijah McNamee.
But it was a good hard hit ball. And it was drilled right to the shortstop, which we're talking about. Start pulling more.
So now with 1 out, the first baseman, Steven Sinsley, makes his way up there. 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and then reaching on an error in the third. He's another one that would be due for a hit here. And another one that, even though he's really struggled to pick up base hits, especially in that early part of the year, he's got on base quite a lot. 9 straight games he's got on base. He got on base with the error, and that's would probably be enough to give him a 10th game successfully making it on base.
I tell you what, you're loaded with information. You're always telling me something. Well, I shouldn't say me. You're telling our fans something.
The 0-1 for Sinsley. Oh boy, on a rocket to the right side, and it's pulled out of the sky by the first baseman, Perez. He was hugging that right field line, and a good thing he was. So now with 2 down, the catcher Justin Felix will look for his first base hit of the game.
I see he's got one of those protective sleeves on too. So I don't know how many times he's been hit.
Well, I know in the game yesterday when he did get hit, it was right on his elbow pad. So it was a good thing he had it on there.
Okay.
That was a swing he wanted to put over the Budweiser sign. Instead,
I played for prep school for one of the greatest baseball men ever, Joe Kasperger. We had 157 consecutive wins in prep school against college teams. And Joe Casper used to say, all you have to do is roll with the pitch and it don't hurt. And, it's true. Here comes a fastball and you just roll, it ricochets off you. It don't hurt. Now, if you want to say, hey, boom, you open up the safe, yes, it's going to hurt.
Two hefty swings from Felix has him down 0-2 in the count.
Joe Kasperger, great coach. And
Curtis throws just 3 pitches to Felix, all 3 strikes. And it's a strikeout for Felix that ends the inning. 3 up, 3 down for the Otters for the second time tonight.
And Joe Kasperger was a coach at Notre Dame, football coach under legendary, greatest all-time Notre Dame coach.
Call to the bullpen needed for the Otters. Jake Polancic will come in, but first, the final line for Tim Holgrafer. 8 full innings pitched. He gave up no runs on 2 hits, walked 2, and struck out 10. That is not a bad outing.
Not a bad, and that should move him up in the strikeout column.
Absolutely. The man coming in, Jake Polancic, the righty out of Langley, British Columbia. And he's appeared twice in the last week. Both of them were just about an inning each. And he gave up no runs on no hits in both of the performances, 2 strikeouts in one of them as well. He's been really efficient in the innings he's came in and pitched for the Otters thus far. I think this might be the first time I've ever seen him with the socks pulled up high. Usually his pants are all the way down to the ankle. But regardless, this call to the bullpen is presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. And the pitcher-catcher battery is now Polancic throwing to Felix. The pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. So looking for the final 3 outs of the game will be Jake Polancic. First one is fouled up and out of play.
I have some news for you.
Well, we got all of our marbles in this guy's bag, so no one else is warming up.
Nope, it's got to be Polancic. And
Yep.
when Polancic has come in, he has been really solid for the Otters so far this year.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You're a good analyst as far as I'm concerned when it comes to these players.
Well, occasionally he'll come in as hey, we need 2 outs in this inning. Boom, boom, he gets them done. Or he had an occurrence in Trois-Rivières where he did 1 2/3 innings work and was pretty good. Now he walks the first man he sees, or a hit by pitch gives a free base up on the first man he sees.
Well, that was a breaking pitch that didn't break. And to have the batter throw the bat like he did, where the umpire's walking down between him and the pitcher, I think is uncalled for because, in a game like this, you don't deliberately go to hit anybody. So it's an accident, and for the batter to take offense to it, I hope it's a double play. Boom, boom, gum, and get him off the base path.
Coming up next for the Crushers, a 3-game set at the Florence Yalls on Friday through Sunday. They have Monday off, then they'll head back home to face the New Jersey Jackals for a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday series. First pitch to Kiko Figueredo. Inside ball 1.
You see now, again, this is the way I play the game. I'd have someone else warming up. Again, I'm not taking chances. Don't wait until the score is 5-4.
1-0 for Figueredo. Again inside. This is a game that you absolutely do not want to give up here at the last second.
Exactly.
Need this win. If it was me, I'd probably have Logan Sawyer throwing out there, the closer, as a guy who could come in and get you those couple outs at the very end if you needed. 2-0 to Coco Figueredo. That one's going to be called strike 1 right across the heart of the plate.
You know, when I played here in 56, and my good friend Bob Botts would come in out of the bullpen, Botsy couldn't throw over 85 and didn't have a curveball, but he sure enough could throw strikes. And that's all you needed. Throw strikes.
1-2 from Polancic. Man, that one didn't miss by too much. 3-1 now the counts.
Another pitcher in that same year went on to pitch about 10, 15 years in the majors, Claude Raymond. I tell you what, he never threw a pitch above the belt. Everything was belt low, and he could throw strikes.
The 3-1. Cracked bat, it's sent over the head of Sinsley, and it's into right field for a base hit. Close play at second, not in time, however, and there's no outs, runners on first and second.
Now are we getting anyone to warm up?
Not yet.
Again, you're not putting a death threat on them, but again, have somebody ready.
As a just in case. So now Jared Mang makes the walk up there. Mang's 1 for 3 with a single and a pair of strikeouts.
Right, we got 2 strikes out of it. Tim got him out twice.
Runners on first and second with no outs for the Crushers here in the top half of the ninth. They're trying to muster something. And now an arm will get up for the Otters. Joe Riley out there in the right field bullpen.
You see, now I'm catching, and I'm going out in the middle of that field between home plate and the pitching mound, and I'm going to say, everybody, let's get one. Make sure we get one. Never mind getting a double play. Make sure you get one out.
Now looks like it's actually Logan Sawyer who's starting to warm up for the Otters out there in right field.
Strike.
Right across the heart of the plate, evens the count at 1-1.
But that was the curveball that hit the first batter. If you notice, that wasn't a bad breaking pitch. But the batter that's on second, it was a floater. That's why I was surprised at him complaining about it. My God, it was like a mosquito bite.
The 1-1. Mang sends
That's
this out towards left center. Baez chasing and watching. That one's going to leave the yard, a 3-run home run.
That's what I was afraid of.
And Tim Holgrafer's 5-0 lead has vanished after Polancic came in. A 3-run home run from Jared Mang, and this game is 5-3.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. Remember, I kept saying, that's why someone should be warming up. You never take a chance. Game's not over until that fat lady sings.
Still no outs here, and Connor Owings will make the trip up, 0 for 3.
Yeah, but he's also got a home run the other night. Yeah, here comes Max now.
Max will take his time getting to the mound, buying every last second he can for Sawyer out there.
Is Sawyer warming up now?
And
he's calling him in now.
He is. So they'll make a pitching change here. Polancic can't recover any outs. He gives up a 3-run home run. They're going to ask Sawyer to come in and close this game out. We've got the conclusion coming at you next here on the Otters Digital Network. And welcome back inside historic Bossy Field. Logan Sawyer brought in for what is now a save situation. No outs. Team's up 5-3. Sawyer, the second-year righty out of Knoxville. And this call to the bullpen is presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. And the pitcher-catcher battery is now Sawyer thrown to Felix. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. And now it's, you mentioned it right before we came back on, it's basically a fresh inning. No one on, no one out. You've just asked your closer to come on and do his job.
Right, exactly. But depending on what the batter does, if he gets on, I'm warming someone else up.
Sawyer made his last appearance against Trois-Rivières in the win. He picked up a save in that game. It was his 30th professional save in his career. It's his fourth of the year. That's tied for the league lead. First pitch for him in this half inning. Oh, that's a generous called strike up high.
You know, managers and coaches, they're not originators. They're copying someone else that managed them or coached them that was successful. And they believe in that theory of coaching. I played for Bob Coleman, was one of the greatest minor league managers of all time.
0-1.
He won more minor league championships and, of course, managed in the major leagues as well. And the way I managed or coach was from his philosophy. And if we win a lot of championships, he must have been doing a pretty good job.
1-1 to Owings.
Ooh.
Hard swing, and he falls down in the count 1-2.
Wow, was that a wicked pitch? Now, come back with the same pitch.
Absolutely. Why not attack him?
I mean, he looked foolish on that. And that's not to insult him. I don't mean it that way.
He didn't expect it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A 1-2 pitch to Owings.
Yep.
That one high and outside. Count even at 2-2.
You can't afford too many pitches.
No outs, a 2-2 count for Owings.
See, now, I don't know if you noticed where Felix lined up. He went outside, and that's where he got it. But you don't put your whole body on the outside of the plate. Put your glove there.
Now a full count for Connor Owings.
Yep.
Sawyer can really not afford to give up a walk to start off. This one is put up foul to the left side.
You see where Felix lined up? He wanted it down the middle. Yes. Like I say, just put the glove there. You know, the pitcher is going to pitch, hopefully throwing you where you want it. But it's too far sometimes.
The 3-2 for Owings once again.
Ball four.
Up and outside, and it's a walk on the full count.
Now, we just said he made that guy look foolish on that breaking pitch. The next three pitches were all fastballs. Never come back with the same pitch he made the guy look like. And now we've started the inning off again with a man on, no outs.
Hermindo Escobar makes the walk up.
And this guy's got a quick bat.
Escobar is 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a ground into double play so far. Both his strikeouts are looking. Hard swing on the first pitch.
Oh, is it 95? Is it 95?
It says 95.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that hard, but.
So now the 0-1.
Now he's looking for the outside pitch. See? That way he's just got the glove there. Good. See the difference? He stayed behind the plate, but he put the glove outside.
And
if he had his body there, it probably would have been outside.
Escobar couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
That was, I thought for sure that was a good pitch. Should have been called a strike.
It was a good pitch.
So 0-2 count now for Escobar. Sawyer would really benefit with a strike 3 called here. Chop to the left side and foul. But just by a hair.
You want to keep the ball away from Escobar because he pulls. He's a pull hitter. So keep the ball away, take his power away. Now he's got 2 strikes, no balls. Come in with the low outside curveball.
He's already been caught looking at 2 strikeouts today.
Right.
Sawyer might want to try to get him to swing at 1.
Now we see where he's way inside.
The 0-2 right across the heart of the plate. A 3rd strikeout looking for Escobar in the game. The first German-American bank strikeout of the game for Sawyer.
Now that's a big out.
Big time. Because now the right pitch, a double play could end it.
That's right. Plus, Escobar was a potential good hitter.
Absolutely. Brian Flette makes the walk up. He's 0 for 2 with a walk and a couple of various outs. First offering to him.
Strike.
Right across the heart of the plate. Maybe a bit inside as well for a called strike 1. No balls, 1 strike to Bryant Flette. Long wait for Sawyer between pitches. Works a bit inside and even in count. That's a nice pitch.
Yep.
Challenges that hitter.
Well, where was that pitcher that threw for Atlanta? That he threw most of his strikes on the black part of the home plate, not across the middle, but the black part. He was a perfectionist.
The 1-1. Ooh, slows things down a little bit for a called strike 2.
Yeah, a pitcher who can put the ball where he wants to don't need velocity.
The 1-2. Sent right back up the middle to Mattis. To second for 1, to first. Game over. What a play and a scoop from Steven Sinsley to end this one. Logan Sawyer has his league-leading 5th save of the year as the Otters sweep the Crushers with a 5-3 win here on Thursday night. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, we've got post-game stats and reaction from a 5-3 win for the Evansville Otters. And for the final time this evening, we welcome you inside historic Bosse Field, where the Evansville Otters have picked up a 5-3 win over the Lake Erie Crushers. An all-around game for them. You got to see solid starting pitching. You got to see some rock-solid defensive work. Had a little scare there towards the end, but then one of the best closers in this league did his job towards the end of things. Getting started for the Otters in the 2nd inning. Miles Gordon had a 2-run single. They brought in the first 2 runs of the game. Had to wait till the 3rd inning to see the next 2, as J.R. Davis had a solo home run to lead off the inning. And then scoring on an error was Jeffrey Baez. That was the game-winning run. The Otters added 1 run of insurance later in the game. There in the 7th inning with an RBI single from Jeffrey Baez. Then in the top of the 9th inning, a 3-run home run from Jared Mang gives the Crushers some life, but not enough, as they will fall 5-3 in this game. They lose the series, lose all 3 games of the series, and the Otters are able to pick up not just their second win, but their second sweep of the season, and this is a good place to be. Obviously not in the 9th inning, but outside of that 9th inning, that is a really good, complete effort for your ball club.
Well, it put you, you had your heart beating a little faster in that 9th inning compared to the starting pitcher for the Otters, Holgraffer, who pitched, 7 innings of outstanding baseball. And for him to be in that dugout sweating it out, too, just like you and I, that was unfair to him. But a great win for the Otters.
Tim Holgrafer receives the win in 8 full innings of work. He allows no runs on 2 hits, walks 2, and strikes out 10.
Right.
An unreal game for him. He was followed by Jake Polancic, who gave up the 3 runs on 2 hits, recording no outs. Then Logan Sawyer came in and did what he does best, picked up his league-leading 5th save of the season and gave the Otters the win. The loss falls to Brock Baig. Baig gave up 4 runs on 6 hits in 6 innings of work, walked 3, and struck out 6. Obviously, you won't make the trip with me to Gateway this weekend, but there are some positives to look forward towards that. You got the bats alive after a really tough week in Canada. The starting pitching looks impressive after a couple of games. A lot to look forward to in this series with the Grizzlies.
Yes, and you'll be on a bus going to Gateway, and I'll be in the hospital getting tests. I have a series of tests tomorrow, plus another C scan, trying to figure out what that growth in my lung is or my kidney. But anyway, I'll be watching the game on Flow Baseball at $29.95, and that's per month. But I wish you luck. You do an excellent job of communicating with the fans, and I compliment you. And although I probably won't hear you tomorrow night, I'll hear the home team, and maybe I'll be able to listen to it instead of Polly Boufonse.
Well, if you want to watch the game on Flow Sports tomorrow, that'll be the Gateway Grizzlies coverage of it. If you want to listen to our broadcast, you can listen to that on the Evansville Otters YouTube page on the Otters Digital Network. I'll have the pregame show starting at about 6:35. Keep an eye on the YouTube page tomorrow evening, and it'll have the exact time that will get started. First pitch is scheduled for 6:45 between the Otters and the Grizzlies.
Okay. Well, I'm not too good with this electronic field, but I have a son-in-law who I'll try to get to set me up to watch you or listen to you. I'd rather listen to you, and I'm being honest. Now, I'm not throwing bouquets your way, but I think you're more interesting to listen to than another broadcaster from another location.
Well, I thank you for that. The matchup we're going to see tomorrow is the right-handed pitcher, Sam Gardner, for the Grizzlies. He'll go up against right-handed pitcher Justin Watland for the Otters, and Watland has been impressive. Just a quick look at his stats. Though he's 0-1 in his 3 games he's pitched, his ERA sits about 3.25 strikeouts for him, has him at 6th in the entire league. His batting average against is at 215.
Right.
And the one loss he has came off a 1-run against performance, so not bad for him thus far.
Right.
And exciting to see what this matchup looks like between Gateway and Evansville. These are now 2 really evenly matched teams across this league. Gateway did get the win against Windy City tonight, so the teams will be tied at their record of 10-8 going into tomorrow. A lot to play for in that series. I'm excited to talk to you tomorrow night here on the Otters Digital Network. But for all of us here at the Evansville Otters at historic Bosse Field, he is Bill McEwen. I'm Matthew O. Thanks for joining us for one more edition of Otters Baseball. We hope to see you here at Bosse again next Tuesday night as the Otters welcome Windy City to town.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday, absolutely.
Yeah, right, Taco Tuesday, yeah.
We'll join you then For the broadcast here on Flow Sports, I'll join you tomorrow night as the Otters head to Gateway for a 6:45 first pitch. Thanks for joining us and have a great night.
God bless.